Chapter 369. Before Lu Ping came out of the hall of Zhonghua, Lu Tianling Laozu once told Lu Ping that a master refiner could control a high-grade alchemy furnace in their sect. Originally, Lu Ping thought that his master was just afraid that he would miss out on such benefits. However, when Lu Ping entered the alchemy room and saw the alchemy furnace placed in the center, he suddenly realized that his master's words actually had another meaning. Tianlu and Tianjiang Laozu's original plan was to use this high-grade alchemy furnace in exchange for the right to use the Na Chuan cauldron for a period of time. Although this high-grade alchemy furnace should originally be controlled by Lu Ping had not come to collect it. Obviously, he did not know about this matter. The two Laozus intended to do a cheap favor at little cost. Although they suspected that Lu Ping did not know the details, the two Laozus were only going to use the Na Chuan cauldron for a period of time. It was not like they were concealing Lu Ping's alchemy furnace. Moreover, once they found out that Lu Ping's alchemy furnace was of sufficient quality, perhaps the two Laozus would return him a magical alchemy furnace. In the eyes of the two Laozus, Lu Ping would have profited no matter what. However, what the two of them did not expect was that behind Lu Ping, there was a master of Fa Xiang Laozus giving him pointers. Their plan was to ruthlessly earn a fortune from the two Laozus. No matter what, this matter also involved Tianling Laozu's participation. If they only schemed for an alchemy furnace that should have been in their hands, how could they live up to Tianling Laozu's identity and status? Tianjiang Laozu's palm slammed on the table. With a pa sound, Tianjiang Laozu angrily said, "Boy, you have guts, ah. You even dared to scheme against your master. Who else in the Jinling sect would be in your eyes?" Seeing that Tianjiang Laozu was angry, Lu Ping hurriedly said respectfully, "How could Disciple have the guts to scheme against the two Laozus? Besides, with Disciple's little bit of wisdom, how could Disciple dare to show off in front of the two Laozus? It's just that Disciple caused too much commotion a few days ago and felt very guilty. I could only hide in Master's cave to cultivate in seclusion. I didn't expect Master to summon disciples all over the sect." Seeing that Lu Ping had admitted defeat, Tianjiang Laozu snorted twice and didn't say anything else. Tianjiang Laozu saw that the chess pieces on the chessboard had been shaken until they were jumping around. It was clear that they couldn't continue this game of chess. They could only look at Tianjiang Laozu with disdain and said with some helplessness, "According to the rules of the sect, you indeed have the right to control a high-grade alchemy furnace. This Hashan cauldron, the old man originally planned to give it to you. Don't even think about getting something for free. In the future, you'll have to shoulder a large part of the sect's task of refining blood-condensing pills. Here are the spirit herbs for 20 cauldrons of blood-condensing pills. You only need to refine 200 blood-condensing pills." Lu Ping's face fell and he clicked his tongue. "Isn't that a little too much? Every cauldron has to produce at least 10 pellets? Doesn't that mean I have to cast the external pellet transformation every time I concoct a cauldron of blood-condensing pellets? However, this secret technique isn't that easy to use. Furthermore, with my alchemy skills, I don't have the confidence to continuously refine blood condensation pills in a short period of time without using the external pill transformation technique. I don't have a 100% success rate in every cauldron." Tianjiang Laozu's face darkened. "Brat, are you really muddle-headed or just pretending? Do you really think it's that easy to gather the spirit herbs needed to refine blood-condensing pills? As an alchemist, you should know that even though it's easy to refine blood-condensing pills, it's not easy to gather the spirit herbs. 20 cauldrons of blood-condensing pills would take at least 2 to 3 years. Even 20 cauldrons of pill-forging grade pills wouldn't be that difficult." Fornax Laozu nodded and said, "You don't need to be in a hurry to refine these 20 cauldrons of blood-condensing pills. As long as you finish them within 3 years, you'll be able to use the pill transformation technique more easily. However, if you still can't refine 200 blood-condensing pills, then you'll have to make up for the shortfall. Of course, if you have any extra pills, you can use them to exchange for a certain amount of 1,000-year-old spirit herbs in the sect's spiritual herb garden." Lu Ping's eyes brightened. "Does that mean I can freely enter the sect's spiritual herb garden?" Tianjiang Laozu snorted angrily. What a joke. Even the sect's alchemists don't have the right to enter the spiritual herb garden. Who has the right? Fornax Laozu understood Lu Ping's meaning. He smiled. This brat has set his sights on that swarm of amethyst bees of his. That swarm of amethyst bees was the envy of countless cultivators at the Tianling's Dharma Manifestation Conference. The Northern Sea cultivators all thought that the old man raised them. There have already been 4 Laozus from different sects who have asked the old man for amethyst bee eggs. They've offered quite a few treasures, but the old man has rejected them all. If this swarm of amethyst bees has the support of the sect's spiritual herb garden, it's not impossible to raise a core-forging bee queen in a few decades. There are quite a lot of good things. Tianjiang Laozu muttered. Brat, you've gotten so many benefits. Shouldn't you give some of your amethyst honey and amethyst royal jelly to the old man and the others? With your alchemy skills, using the amethyst royal jelly is a waste of God's gift. Just leave it for Tianjiang. The old man can just give some amethyst royal jelly to make tea. Lu Ping knew that Tianjiang Laozu took on the responsibility of the amethyst bees in front of other sects in order to protect Lu Ping. So he smiled and took out a jade crystal bottle and a jade marrow bottle from his storage ring. Then he opened his palm, and a small Linglong alchemy furnace appeared in Lu Ping's palm. Lu Ping threw the small alchemy furnace in his hand to the ground. The small alchemy furnace suddenly expanded. When it landed on the ground, it had become a giant alchemy furnace that was half the height of a person. When the 2 Laozus saw that Lu Ping had already nurtured the Na Chuan cauldron in his body, their expressions were a little unnatural. But then their attention was immediately attracted by the Na Chuan cauldron. The amethyst honey and amethyst royal jelly in Lu Ping's hands were ignored by the 2 of them. What an ancient cauldron! Tianjiang Laozu's eyes lit up, and he was the first to speak. The foundation to upgrade it to a transcendent artifact is definitely enough. I'm just afraid that the precious prohibition of the several elixir furnaces that our sect has collected for thousands of years is not suitable for this treasured cauldron. Tianlu Laozu was a little worried about personal gains and losses. Tianjiang Laozu was stunned when he heard this. He was the great master of refining, and he was already very familiar with the few elixir furnace precious prohibition in the sect. Naturally, he could tell at a glance whether it was suitable for the Na Chuan cauldron or not. Just now, because he was attracted by the superb quality of the Na Chuan cauldron, he neglected the problem of the precious prohibition. Tianlu Laozu saw that Tianjiang Laozu's face immediately darkened after listening to his words. He naturally knew the result and said, "It's a pity that this excellent elixir furnace is wasted, but is there no other way?" Tianjiang Laozu didn't answer. He carefully examined it for a long time, and then said, "Since ancient times, there are very few elixir furnace precious prohibition that can be used directly. Therefore, not only are elixir furnace precious prohibition rare, but there are also very few elixir furnaces that can reach the level of psychic transcendent artifact. Legend has it that if elixir furnace wants to reach the level of psychic transcendent artifact, it must have a precious prohibition that is created according to the elixir furnace itself. Although the elixir furnaces that our sect has collected are not completely suitable, but with the abilities of the 2 of us, it is not impossible to upgrade this treasured cauldron to a transcendent artifact by combining the few precious prohibition together." Lu Ping quietly listened to the conversation between the 2 of them. He actually had an elixir furnace precious prohibition that he obtained from the East Sea, and it was also quite suitable for the Na Chuan cauldron. If it wasn't for the fact that Lu Ping couldn't use a transcendent artifact level elixir furnace at the moment, he would have long thought of a way to upgrade the Na Chuan cauldron. Lu Ping naturally had his own plans. This elixir furnace had been nurtured by Lu Ping for many years. Since the 2 Laozu had made up their minds to upgrade the Na Chuan cauldron to a transcendent artifact, then Lu Ping naturally had to save a precious prohibition and upgrade the Na Chuan cauldron in the future. If he took out the precious prohibition now, the 2 Laozu's minds would probably no longer ponder over a new precious prohibition, but immediately upgrade the Na Chuan cauldron to a transcendent artifact level. As for when the time came for the 2 Laozus to figure out a precious prohibition, the 2 of them probably wouldn't have the drive they had now. Lu Ping was not satisfied with just upgrading the Na Chuan cauldron to a transcendent artifact level. A few days after the trip to the Alchemy Pavilion, Lu Ping and Hu Lily disappeared from the teleportation formation on Tianling Mountain. When they reappeared, they were already on Xianqi Island. which was at the forefront of the confrontation with the demon clan in the Outer Sea. The two of them had just come down from the teleportation formation when they saw Chun-Li's evasive light descending. Seeing that it was Lu Ping and Hu Lili, he smiled and said, "This time, you, the initiator of this operation, just had to be the last to arrive." Lu Ping smiled and said, "These few days, I let Tianlu Laozu grab some able-bodied men to refine the blood condensation pill. How's everyone's preparation going?" Chun-Lian smiled and said, "We have to hurry. If we take too long, we might be discovered by the demon clan with so many core forging stage cultivators gathered on Xianqi Island. But you have to go to Uncle Chu first. I heard that Uncle Chu wants to give you some benefits." Chapter 370. Lu Ping was stunned for a moment before he remembered that Lu Ping had helped Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing escape from the formation of the demon race cultivators. At that time, Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing said that he would give him some benefits. Lu Ping originally thought that Taoist Master Chu was just casually saying it and did not expect that Taoist Master Chu had really prepared some benefits for him. How could he be willing to refuse the gift from an elder? Lu Ping was a little excited. He asked Hu Lili to greet everyone first while he headed towards Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing's cave abode alone. When Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing saw Lu Ping, he laughed loudly and said, "Kid, I heard that you've been in the limelight recently?" Lu Ping was a little embarrassed and said, "I had no choice but to do so last time. I didn't know that I would be so lucky." Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing pointed at Lu Ping and said with a smile, "Kid, you really know how to take advantage of others. I heard that your top-grade pill furnace was borrowed by Tianlu and Tianjiang martial uncles. Don't have any other thoughts because of this. If you have a top-grade pill furnace on you now, there might be experts who can't resist the temptation and secretly plot against you. This is also for your own good." Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat. Only then did he know that Tianlu Laozu and the others did not leak out the news of the Linchuan cauldron, which was also a top-grade pill furnace, in exchange for Lu Ping's Nachuan cauldron. Instead, they only released the news that Lu Ping had handed over the top-grade pill furnace to the sect. It seemed that with his current strength, possessing a top-grade pill furnace was really an extremely dangerous thing. Lu Ping naturally would not expose it. Instead, he smiled and said, "How could the two martial uncles let this disciple suffer a loss? They also gave this disciple a lot of benefits." Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing saw the joy on Lu Ping's face. He nodded and said, "Last time, the old man was able to escape because of your help. That day, the old man said that he would give you a benefit. He will not go back on his word. Come with me." Lu Ping followed Spiritual Master Chu into the cultivation room. Spiritual Master Chu took out a pouch from his waist and shook it. 10 items appeared in front of Lu Ping. Spiritual Master Chu said, "The old man's cultivation method is very different from yours. Over the hundreds of years, he has collected some water attribute treasures, but most of them have been used to exchange for items that the old man needs. Thus, there are only a dozen or so items that you can use. You can pick 2 or 3 of them and treat them as gifts from the old man among the cultivators of the same level." Lu Ping had the titles of Boy of Many Treasures and Taoist Master of Many Treasures. It could be seen that his wealth could be considered extremely rich. However, when Lu Ping looked at the treasures that Spiritual Master Chu casually took out, he could not help but sigh. Compared to these old cultivators who had been famous for hundreds of years, his own foundation was still too shallow. Among these treasures, there was a type of heaven and earth spirit water, which was the Ming water. There were also 2 types of water attribute heaven and earth spirit objects. In addition, there was a water attribute heaven and earth spirit object that had lost its spirituality and became a 3rd-grade spiritual material. In addition to these 3 types of treasures, there were 2 purple jade slips, 3 jade crystal boxes, each containing 50,000 years old spirit herbs, 3 or 4 types of 2nd-grade mutated spiritual materials, 3 magic treasures, and even a middle-grade pill furnace. In addition, there were a few shining talismans and a jade crystal bottle. These things were only things that Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing deliberately found from his collection that could be used by Lu Ping. Naturally, Lu Ping would not think that Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing only had these things. From Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing's words, Lu Ping could also hear that these were things that he could not use. Lu Ping was not modest at the moment. He went straight forward to check these items one by one. For a core forging stage cultivator, especially for a cultivator like Lu Ping who was about to advance to the middle core forging stage, the most important thing was the heaven and earth spirit water. However, Lu Ping already had a bowl of Tsang Lan water in his hands, so naturally, he would not be interested in the Ming water of the middle grade profound level. However, the other two heaven and earth spirit objects caught Lu Ping's attention. One of them could be used to fuse with Lu Ping's aura shield, but the quantity was not enough. With the current degree of Zhen Yuan of Lu Ping, he needed at least two of these strange objects. Lu Ping didn't look at the third-grade spiritual materials. He didn't lack magic weapons in his hands. Moreover, his life source magic weapon was enough to take up his energy. Lu Ping didn't have the mind to think about refining other magic weapons. Refining this kind of thing, Lu Ping really kept a respectful distance from it. The two purple jade slips surprised Lu Ping. One of them was actually a jade slip of an alchemist's inheritance, and the other recorded a set of swordsmanship that could be practiced to a minor magical power. As for the other spirit grasses, magic weapons, talismans, and so on, Lu Ping didn't look at them. Instead, when Lu Ping opened the only jade crystal bottle, when Lu Ping's divine sense wrapped the contents of the bottle, the Zhen Yuan in Lu Ping's body suddenly became restless. Lu Ping's expression changed. Fortunately, this kind of temporary loss of control of the Zhen Yuan only made the blood flow a lot faster. Moreover, Lu Ping seemed to feel that his own cultivation seemed to have been accelerated at that moment, but it didn't bring any discomfort to Lu Ping. On the contrary, it seemed to have some benefits. Lu Ping's expression became a little dignified. Once again, he slowly penetrated his divine sense into the jade bottle. At the same time, he carefully felt the changes in his Zhen Yuan. When Lu Ping's divine sense wrapped the contents of the jade bottle, the throbbing from the previous blood appeared again. The blood in Lu Ping's body seemed to suddenly flow faster at this moment, and the Zhen Yuan in his body also accelerated the pace of cultivation along with the blood. The spiritual power around the cave house fluctuated, attracting the attention of Taoist Chu Xuanqing. Taoist Chu Xuanqing saw the thing in Lu Ping's hand and couldn't help but say, "This is just a core forging middle stage golden core." If it weren't for this water attribute golden core being rare, the old man wouldn't have kept it in his hands for more than 100 years. However, this golden core doesn't have much use. Even if you use it to refine medicinal pills, it is at most equivalent to a bottle of core forging level medicinal pills. If it weren't for the fact that the old man has too few water attribute treasures in his hands, he wouldn't have taken this thing out. Lu Ping raised his head and said calmly, "Disciple consents that this golden core should be a water attribute cultivation method of the Flood Dragon bloodline, but I don't know what kind of golden core it is. It's worth martial uncle keeping it for hundreds of years." Taoist Chu Xuanqing heard Lu Ping's question and carefully recalled before saying, "This is the harvest of the old man when he traveled to the Middle Earth after he just advanced to the core forging late stage. At that time, he and a few friends went to explore a ruin in a mountain range, but they were attacked by the Beastkin clan. After a battle, both sides suffered losses. One of the core forging middle stage Deer Demon died in the hands of the old man. Deer Demon?" Lu Ping's expression was a little surprised, and there were some unclear emotions mixed in it, but Taoist Chu Xuanqing was immersed in his memories and did not notice Lu Ping's expression. Yes, it was a deer demon. This deer demon's cultivation was only at the 5th stage of the core forging stage. Although it was not the strongest among the Beastkin clan that sneak attacked, its strength was very tyrannical. 2 human cultivators at the 6th stage of the core forging stage were killed and injured by the deer demon. In the end, it was because of the loss of chi in the continuous battles that the old man took advantage of the loophole. Otherwise, with the strength of the old man, it would be easy to defeat him, but it would be extremely difficult to kill him. At that time, the old man saw that this deer demon actually had the water attribute Flood Dragon bloodline, which was extremely rare among the Beastkin clan, so he kept it for the sake of novelty. After listening to Taoist Chu Xuanqing's words, Lu Ping thought for a while and said with a smile, "This golden core might really be strange. Fortunately, this disciple also cultivates the water attribute cultivation method of the Flood Dragon bloodline. If this golden core is used to refine pills, it might really have some benefits. Taoist Chu Xuanqing smiled and said, "You want to see if this thing is useful for you to break through to the middle stage of the core forging stage, right? However, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. In the cultivation world, a blood condensation realm cultivator needs to replenish his bloodline 3 times. A core forging realm cultivator needs to replenish his golden core's spirituality 3 times. And a transcendence realm cultivator needs to replenish his transcendence yang spirit 3 times. Every time, a cultivator's cultivation base would undergo a qualitative change. After these 9 changes, the cultivator would be able to transform his transcendence dharma into a true spirit. This was known as the 9 transformations of the true spirit in the cultivation world. The golden core was the condensation of the cultivator's bloodline essence. When a cultivator died, the spirituality in the golden core would disappear completely. Therefore, the golden core was only useful for replenishing the bloodline essence. In other words, if you refine the golden core into a pill, it would greatly benefit a blood condensation cultivator or a breakthrough realm cultivator, but it would be useless for a core forging realm cultivator. The cultivation world has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. There are many cultivators with the same idea as you, but I have never heard of anyone succeeding. Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, "I'll choose this golden core. It just so happens that a few of my spirit pets are also on the verge of breaking through. This golden core is just the right time for them to do so." Taoist Chu Xuanqing saw that Lu Ping insisted, so he did not force him. Instead, he said, "In that case, you can choose one more thing. This golden core will be a gift from the old man to you." Lu Ping smiled and said, "In that case, this disciple will make a profit." Lu Ping did not stand on ceremony. After weighing it for a while, he finally took the Mingshui. Then, he put away the jade slip that recorded a set of small magical power swordsmanship. Finally, he took the only magic weapon used for flying escape. No cultivator would complain about having too many spirit items. Lu Ping was famous for his swordsmanship, so it did not seem reasonable not to choose a swordsmanship. Moreover, although Lu Ping's swordsmanship had reached the realm of great magical powers were also divided into different levels. Lu Ping had just turned a great magical power into his own, and was barely in the middle level of great magical power. Moreover, because Lu Ping's cultivation was not enough, this middle level had to be discounted. At this time, the significance of a set of small magical power swordsmanship inheritance for Lu Ping was still very obvious. As for Lu Ping's choice of a flying magic weapon, it was entirely because of his own needs. Although Lu Ping had cultivated a small magical power, he did not have a flying magic weapon in his hands. If the two were combined, Lu Ping's ability to escape would undoubtedly be higher. Seeing that Lu Ping had finished choosing, Taoist Chu Xuanqing put the rest of the things into the pouch and asked, "How confident are you in the plan this time?" Lu Ping thought for a while and said, "It's easy to capture it. The key is whether we can defend it later. After all, the area of Huangli Island is too small, and it is isolated in the outer sea. Without the support of the masters of the sect, under the wanton attack of the monster race cultivators, we can defend for a while, but not forever. Without the support of a small spirit vein, the cost of setting up the island's protection formation is too high. In this way, I'm afraid it will not be able to defend for a long time. The sect will not strip a small spirit vein for a small place like Huangli Island." Taoist Chu Xuanqing seemed to be testing Lu Ping. Lu Ping chuckled and said, "You don't have to worry about the problem of the spirit vein. As long as we can withstand the attack of the monster race for 3 days, the problem of the spirit vein can be solved." Taoist Chu Xuanqing nodded in satisfaction and said, "In this case, you can rest assured and do it. This attack on Huangli Island can be said to be a signal for the various sects of the North Sea to fight back against the monster race. It is a great boost to the morale of the human race cultivators of the North Sea. Moreover, the location of Huangli Island is extremely special, and I'm afraid it will be of great use in the future. You guys can go ahead and do it. The old man and the other late-stage cultivators of our sect will come forward to check and balance the experts of the monster race, but Huangli Island will ultimately depend on you guys to seize it." Chapter 371. After Lu Ping left Taoist Chu Xuanqing's residence, he didn't go to Chunlian's residence. Instead, he went straight out of Xianqi Island and sat cross-legged on a reef outside the island for a while. Suddenly, a huge wave surged from the sea. Then, 3 snake-tailed dolls stepped on the wave and walked towards Lu Ping. After a while, Lu Ping got up and returned to Xianqi Island. In Chenlian's residence on Xianqi Island, Yao Yong, Du Feng, Shi Lingling, Jizi Xuan, Yin Zichu, Zhong Jian, Ma Yu, Zhang Zicheng, and Zheng Jie had been waiting for a long time. In addition to Chenlian, Hu Lili, and Lu Ping, 10 of them had reached the core forging stage. Only Zhang Zicheng and Zheng Jie were still at the peak of the blood condensation stage. In addition, there were also a few of Hu Lili's junior sisters. They were all disciples of Taoist Xinchan. This time, they were invited by Hu Lili to quickly set up the island's protective formation after Lu Ping and the others captured Huangli Island. Seeing that Lu Ping had finally returned, Yao Yong said impatiently, "Junior brother Lu, did you hear that Ouyang Wei Jian, that bastard, broke through to the mid-stage core forging stage a few days ago?" This news surprised Lu Ping, but Lu Ping didn't take it to heart. He just casually said, "Is that so? That guy's cultivation is rising really fast." Yao Yong saw that Lu Ping didn't seem to care about it, and thought that Lu Ping's reaction was too incomprehensible. He then said, "Aren't you worried? I heard that on the Northern Outstanding Rookie list, he's already ranked ahead of you?" This news was somewhat interesting. Lu Ping smiled and said, "His cultivation is originally above mine, so it's not a big deal that he's ranked ahead of me." Shi Lingling saw that Yao Yong couldn't get to the point for a long time, so she helplessly interjected, "None of this is important. The most important thing is that after Ouyang Weijian advanced to the mid-core forging stage, he also achieved a Grand Divine Swordsmanship. It is said that not long after achieving this Grand Divine Swordsmanship, he killed a core forging stage demon cultivator with a single sword strike. I heard that when Ouyang Weijian reached the mid-stage core forging stage, he actually fused with a low-grade earth-tier spirit item specially prepared by Xianling sect. The amount was more than twice that of an ordinary person." Lu Ping's expression turned solemn as he said, "This Ouyang Weijian is indeed our greatest enemy. It's only been 3 years since Teacher's Avatar ceremony, and he's already a mid-core forging realm cultivator. With his status in Xianling sect, he should be in seclusion to consolidate his cultivation base. Xianling sect is so eager to send him out to make a name for himself. Maybe it's because of us." Chunlian smiled and said, "I don't think it's that complicated. Maybe this is just Ouyang Weijian's personal wish. I don't think he's targeting the new disciples of the various sections. I think he's targeting you." Before Lu Ping could speak, Zhong Jian and Ma Yu chimed in. "I think there's an 80% chance that this is Ouyang Weijian's plan. Among the cultivators of the same generation, Ouyang Weijian has only suffered at your hands. This time, he came out to show off his grand divine swordsmanship. He must have made up his mind to fight you." Lu Ping was about to say something, but his divine sense suddenly moved. He noticed that the teleportation array on Xianqi Island had lit up again. A moment later, Chunlian and the others also noticed something. They looked at Lu Ping and said, "This is Lao Zu's idea?" Lu Ping was also a little confused. He shook his head and said, "Although Master knows about our plan, he didn't tell me that he would send little junior sister here." At this time, the people who came out of the teleportation array were already flying towards Chunlian's cave. Ninth senior brother. Lu Ping came out of the cave. Who else could it be other than little junior sister Jiang Xianxian? She was also holding a little girl in her hand. It was little Blue Phoenix, Lu Qin. Lu Ping asked in surprise, "Little junior sister, why are you here? Does Master know that you're coming?" Jiang Xianxian smiled proudly and said, "Father and Mother both know that I'm coming. Moreover, it was Father who put in a good word for me. Mother only agreed to let me come out." The people who came out behind Lu Ping heard Jiang Xuanchuan's words, and their faces were filled with joy. Lu Ping had made such a big move. Naturally, it was impossible for him to bypass the sect's higher-ups. Jiang Xianxian was the darling of the 2 Laozu. Since the 2 Laozu were at ease sending her to Xianqi Island to attack Huangli Island with Lu Ping, although it was a kind of pressure on everyone, it also meant that the 2 Laozu would definitely be the backing of everyone. Huangli Island is guarded by a mid-core forging stage monster cultivator. In addition, there are 5 or 6 core forging stage monster cultivators within a 1,000 miles radius of Huangli Island. They can quickly rush over to support Huangli Island as soon as the battle starts. The monster clan has a late core forging stage cultivator. Dao Master Mo Wei and Martial Uncle Chu Xuanqing will come out to resist. In this way, with my strength, the chances of capturing Huangli Island are not small. Not to mention there are 2 Laozu backing me up. It's just that senior sister whose island protection formation needs to be completed as soon as possible. Otherwise, the longer it drags on, the more experts the monster clan will mobilize. At that time, even if there are experts coming to support, they will not start a bloody battle with the monster clan experts for Huangli Island. At most, they will send us back. But senior brother Lu, where did you get this information from? Even Martial Uncle Chu Xuanqing, who has been operating in this area for many years, doesn't know as much about the monster clan's arrangements as you do. After Lu Ping informed everyone about the monster clan's deployment of forces near Huangli Island, Ji Zixuan carefully analyzed and finally asked everyone's doubts. Lu Ping smiled and said, I have a few demon pets under me. They were released when the monster clan attacked Xianqi Island last time. They hid among the monster clan for 3 years, so they know a lot of things. Initially, the crowd thought that Lu Ping's plan to conquer Huangli Island was just a whim, and that he would be able to succeed in one fell swoop with everyone's strength. They didn't expect Lu Ping to have already started planning to conquer Huangli Island 3 years ago. Not only that, but he also had a thorough understanding of the monster race's situation in the sea around Huangli Island. Thus, the crowd was convinced by Lu Ping's plan. You actually didn't put a divine sense restriction on the spirit pets? Ji Zixuan, who had studied the demon controlling technique, was a little surprised and asked, You are very relaxed. Aren't you afraid that something will happen to them? What Ji Zixuan meant was that they should not trust the monster clan. His words were tactful, not only because he cared about Lu Ping's face, but also because of the little girl standing next to Jiang Xianxian. She was also Lu Ping's spirit pet, and she was a core forging stage monster transformation stage monster cultivator. Lu Qiner was exceptionally smart. Hearing Ji Zixuan's words, she immediately wrinkled her pretty nose and stared at Ji Zixuan with an ominous glint in her eyes. With a cold snort, Ji Zixuan smiled awkwardly and did not speak. Lu Ping knew that Ji Zixuan had good intentions, so he smiled and said, Those children were raised by me since they were young. Nothing will happen to them. Huangli Island was the bridgehead of the monster clan's attack on Xianqi Island. Many monster beasts stayed here, and Taoist Master Yu Hua was the highest-ranked cultivator of the monster clan stationed on Huangli Island. In the past few years, the monster clan's main focus was on the southern part of the North Sea. Because the beast tide had caused a great impact in these places at the beginning, they occupied many of the islands of the sects in the southern part of the North Sea. Their progress was the smoothest. Later, because of the counterattack of the sects in the southern part of the North Sea, the monster clan had no choice but to put more energy into it. This actually gave Jinling a chance to recuperate. Taoist Master Mo Wei had been trying to shift the monster clan's attention to the other big sect of the human clan, Jinling. At one point, he obtained the support of some monster clan cultivators. During the Dharma assembly held in Jinling, he gathered more than 20 core forging enlightened masters to assassinate the human clan cultivators who participated in the Dharma assembly. He successfully trapped Chu Xuanqing in Jinling, and at the same time, attacked and occupied Xianqi Island. However, he did not expect that he would fail at the last step, and the monster clan would suffer heavy casualties. Taoist Master Mo Wei's plan failed, and his reputation among the monster clan plummeted. However, this still attracted the attention of the monster clan towards Jinling. Subsequently, the attack on Jinling was strengthened. Although Taoist Master Mo Wei was still responsible for fighting against Taoist Chu Xuanqing on Xianqi Island, he did not become the commander of the monster clan in charge of attacking Jinling as he wished. In the eyes of Taoist Master Yu Hua, Taoist Master Mo Wei was simply an unnecessary move. Taoist Master Yu Hua did not like the war with the human clan cultivators, but he could not stay out of it. Originally, he came to the Northern Sea region by all means because the war between the human clan and the monster clan here was not intense. However, This wish of his became a bubble because of Taoist Master Mo Wei's plan. He had been stationed in the sea region near Huangli Island for several years. In the eyes of Taoist Master Yu Hua, who had fought with several core forging enlightened masters in Jinling, the internal strength of Jinling was not inferior to that of Xianling sect, which was known as the #1 sect in the North Sea. At least among the core forging experts, the overall strength of the core forging enlightened masters in Jinling was not weak. On this day, Taoist Master Yu Hua had just patrolled the sea region near Huangli Island. After returning to the island, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. However, his divine sense covered the entire island, but he found nothing. At this moment, a wave of spiritual energy suddenly appeared more than 10 feet behind Taoist Master Yu Hua. Taoist Master Yu Hua turned pale with fright. How could someone sneak so close to me without being detected? Moreover, there were so many demon beasts on Huangli Island. Taoist Master Yu Hua did not have the time to think about the reason. An ice wall quickly formed behind him, and he dodged to the side. At the same time, a yellow silk handkerchief was already blocking in front of him. Taoist Master Yu Hua had just released a magic treasure in the air and let out a long sigh of relief. When he turned around, he had a horrified expression on his face. The ice wall had already been penetrated, and the yellow silk handkerchief was cut by the golden sword light. Only a chi-la sound could be heard, and a defensive magic treasure was destroyed. How could Taoist Master Yu Hua care about the destruction of his magic treasure? He raised the silver sword in his hand and slashed at the menacing golden sword light. At this time, Taoist Master Yu Hua had the mind to look at the person who sneak attacked him. At this glance, he sucked in a breath of cold air. He saw a young man wearing a strange, stone-like armor in front of him. He was looking at Taoist Master Yu Hua with a smile. 3 years ago, Taoist Master Yu Hua was also one of the 13 demon cultivators who besieged Chu Xuanqing with Taoist Master Mo Wei. Naturally, he recognized Lu Ping. Moreover, the first thing that came to Taoist Master Yu Hua's mind was not this, but whether Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing had also come. An ear-piercing sound of fine iron colliding could be heard. Under Taoist Master Yu Hua's incredulous gaze, the silver flying sword was greatly damaged by the golden scale sword. A mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. Taoist Master Yu Hua did not say anything and raised his hand toward the sky. A flashing talisman exploded in the sky, then turned into a dozen rays of light and disappeared in the sky. Taoist Master Yu Hua himself flashed with a light under his feet, wanting to escape from Huangli Island. Chapter 372. Just as enlightened Master Yu Hua was about to escape, he felt the sky suddenly darken. Under enlightened Master Yu Hua's incredulous gaze, Chonlian's second restriction, landslide, came whistling down. Blood suddenly spilled out, and enlightened Master Yu Hua looked as if he was fished out of a pool of blood. The azure light under his feet suddenly turned blood red, and his speed instantly increased by several times as he rushed out of the landslide. However, before enlightened Master Yu Hua could rejoice, he saw Lu Ping push his palm forward from behind him. The landslide that fell vertically from the sky suddenly fell diagonally in the direction enlightened Master Yu Hua escaped. With a loud bang, the tail of the landslide smashed into the sea outside of Huangli Island, causing waves like a tsunami that hit the shore of Huangli Island. A miserable howl flashed in the sky, and Taoist Master Yu Hua finally escaped. Another few rays of light landed on Huangli Island. Yao Yong appeared and said, "It's a pity that that person escaped. If Junior Marshal Brother could capture that person, then you would be able to move one step forward on the rookie list." Seeing that Yao Yong couldn't forget about the rookie list, Lingling couldn't help but grumpily say, "The beast cultivator that Junior Marshal Brother Lu fought was at the 5th layer of core forging. Moreover, Junior Marshal Brother Lu hasn't broken through to the middle stage of core forging yet. It's already amazing that you could injure him." Seeing that Yao Yong was embarrassed, Lu Ping hurriedly said, "This time, the opponent's strength is indeed not weak. Even with the stone armor that can avoid the detection of divine sense, we still couldn't kill him. Even so, the escape technique he used at the end must have greatly injured his vitality. In addition to his previous injuries, It will be difficult for him to recover without several years of recuperation, unless he also has a healing pill like the Spirit Water Meridian Nourishing Pill. Hu Lili nodded at Lu Ping and walked towards the cave-dwelling Lu Ping built on the hill a few years ago. The Blood Condensation Realm Junior Martial Sisters who came with him carried all kinds of array formations and tools. Under the protection of Lu Ping and the others, they flew in all directions of Huangli Island. The direction that Lu Ping chose was naturally the easternmost. This was the front line against the demon race's upcoming counterattack. The female cultivator who went with Lu Ping to set up the formation was Daoist Xuanzhen's fifth disciple. Although among Daoist Xuanzhen's disciples, only his eldest and fourth disciple, Hu Lili, had reached the Gold Core realm, there were quite a number of other blood condensation disciples. This was because only Daoist Xuanzhen's branch of Daoist Jinling knew a thing or two about formations. Although Daoist Liang Xianfeng was also quite accomplished in this area, he was better at breaking formations. Daoist Xuanzhen's two core forging disciples did not get along well with Hu Lili. Compared to her three senior martial sisters, Hu Lili had only been under Daoist Xianxin for a short period of time. However, due to Hu Lili's good relations with others and her high cultivation, there were quite a few junior martial sisters who were willing to get close to her. Otherwise, Hu Lili wouldn't have called so many junior martial sisters to help Lu Ping's counterattack on Huangli Island. Junior martial sister Qiu, I'll deal with the demon race's attack. Don't worry and just set up the formation. Junior martial sister Qiu's face was flushed. She nodded and began to survey the positions. One by one, she buried the tools used to set up the formation several zhang underground. When Daoist Yu Hua was repelled by Lu Ping, the demonic beasts on the island began to flee towards the sea. Those that were too slow were killed by Yao Yong and the others. Most of these demonic beasts were in the blood condensation or blood refining realm. In front of a group of core forging experts, it was as easy as cutting melons and vegetables. Of the 8 directions on Huangli Island, Lu Ping was guarding the east. Yin Zichu and Ji Zixuan were guarding the northeast and southeast respectively. Chun Lian was guarding the north, while Yao Yong volunteered to guard the south. Apart from Lu Ping's east, this was the direction that would suffer the most damage. After all, the main force of the demon race was in the southern part of the North Sea. Du Feng was guarding Yao Yong's flank in the southwest, and Shi Lingling was guarding the northwest. The west should be the least dangerous area. Lu Ping asked Lu Qin to accompany Jiang Xianxian. Jiang Xuanchuan's cultivation was high enough, but her teacher doted on her a lot. Although this junior martial sister was smart, she had never left Tianling Mountain after cultivating for dozens of years. She didn't know much about the ways of the world and was very naive. She didn't know why her teacher was like this. As for Zhongjin and Mayu, they were arranged by Lu Ping to be in charge of emergency rescue. They would go wherever the situation was urgent. Zhang Ziqing and Zhang Jie knew that their cultivation was not high enough to be of much help, so they volunteered to clear the hidden demon beasts on the island. Lu Ping assigned Debao, who had been hiding in the Golden House to build his underground palace, to be their guide. With Debao around, the demon beasts on the island would have nowhere to hide. Hu Lili went alone to the Immortal's Cave that Lu Ping had opened. Fortunately, it was a temporary Immortal's Cave that Lu Ping had seriously injured Yu Hua. It was not as chaotic as Hu Lili had imagined. Hu Lili quickly took out a huge array disc from the storage magic tool on her waist. This array disc was 5 feet wide. After Hu Lili advanced to the core forging stage, she began to make this array disc for Lu Ping. During the process of making it, she received several pointers from Daoist Master Xianchen. Only then did Hu Lili successfully complete the array disc. Under Lu Ping's special instructions, the array disc was more precise and detailed than the one on Xianqi Island. Naturally, its power was also much greater. Once Lu Ping and the others successfully occupied Huangli Island, it was bound to become the front line of the resistance against the demon race. Moreover, Xianqi Island had a peak core forging stage cultivator like Daoist Master Chu Xian Cheng. On Huangli Island, there was not even a single core forging stage cultivator. Therefore, Lu Ping could only focus on strengthening the array formation even though it would inevitably consume a large number of spirit stones. In addition to the dense array lines on the array disc, there were hundreds of grooves for inlaying spirit stones. In the center, there were 36 slightly larger grooves. Obviously, they were used to inlay high-grade spirit stones. The surrounding 666 slightly smaller grooves were prepared for middle-grade spirit stones. Lily had just surveyed the position and placed the entire array disc on the ground. Suddenly, a long and drawn-out whistling sound came from the east. Lily's heart tightened. Her hands suddenly sped up. In her hands, several middle-grade spirit stones were inlaid in a sequence. Then, she used her magic power to stimulate them. The inlaid spirit stones suddenly lit up. Several array runes connected to the spirit stones also lit up at the same time. However, when Lily looked at these runes that were like a drop in the ocean on the entire formation plate, she couldn't help but grit her teeth, and the speed of her hands instantly increased by a bit. In the process of gradually activating this kind of large-scale formation, it was an enormous test of Lily's divine sense and true essence. However, she couldn't care so much at this time. Whether or not Huangli Island would fall into the hands of Zhenling depended on when the island's protective array formation could be established. If Lily could not completely repair the island's protective array formation by the time the demon race's reinforcements arrived, then the loss of Huangli Island would be a small matter. However, she was afraid that the group of cultivators who followed Lu Ping to Huangli Island would encounter an accident. Lu Ping could not help but frown when he heard the whistling sound coming from afar. Judging from the aura of the approaching person, his strength should be far above that of the sage Yao cultivator who was severely wounded by Lu Ping. The golden scale sword, which had been upgraded by Lu Ping to the level of a psychic magic treasure, revolved around Lu Ping like a happy fish. However, the fourth long roar was gentle and beautiful. The west side of Huangli Island that Jiang Xianxian and Lu Qin were guarding had unexpectedly encountered an enemy. Chapter 373. Huangli Island wasn't big, but it wasn't small either. Lu Ping's divine sense was tyrannical. Normally, he could just stand at the center of the island and barely cover the entire island. However, at this time, not only was Lu Ping far away from Huangli Island, but he was also using all his divine sense to deal with the demon cultivator in front of him. How could he have time to care about other things? Although Lu Ping was a little nervous, he didn't panic. Although Jiang Xianxian hadn't experienced a life or death battle, her cultivation level was at the second level of core forging realm. Moreover, Lu Ping didn't think that Jiang Xianxian didn't have the treasures given by the Tu Laozu to protect her. Moreover, she also had the Blue Phoenix, Lu Qin, to help her. Of course, the most important thing was that Jiang Xianxian didn't have the slightest anxiousness in her roar. At the same time, Lu Ping also believed that Zhongjian and Ma Yu would also rush over in a short time. Zhongjian and Ma Yu naturally knew the importance of Jiang Xianxian. When they heard Jiang Xuanxuan's roar, they knew the seriousness of the matter and immediately flew toward the west side of Huangli Island. However, when the two of them arrived at the battlefield, they sucked in a breath of cold air. Fear, surprise, joy, pity, and other different expressions appeared on their faces at the same time. The two of them looked at each other at the same time and attacked the monster race cultivators in front of them at the same time. A pair of flying swords combined and instantly surrounded the two monster race cultivators. This time, the demon race obviously used a diversion tactic. In order to protect Jiang Xianxian, the west side of Huangli Island that Lu Ping had deliberately defended became the focus of the demon race's surprise attack. There weren't many core forging stage cultivators from the demon race that had rushed over in such a short amount of time. Among them, 3 were the most tyrannical, and they divided themselves into 3 groups. As for the remaining 2 early core forging stage demon cultivators, they were led by a mid-core forging stage demon cultivator to the west side of the island. When the middle core forging realm demon cultivator found out that there were only 2 early core forging realm girls guarding here, he was overjoyed. It seemed that this was the opportunity to make a contribution. Ever since the North Sea monster clans had launched the Beast Tide, they had gained many victories in their battles against the various sects of the North Sea. However, they had never been able to take advantage of Zhenling's sect. In the last battle on Xianxi Island, the monster clans had suffered a crushing defeat. Several core forging monster cultivators had been killed by Zhenling's sect's experts, greatly reducing their morale. This time, Yu Hua was even more incompetent. He had been seriously injured by a few Jinling sect juniors. It seemed that these young core forging enlightened masters must hold a high position in Jinling sect. If he could capture one or two of them, especially such young and beautiful ones, and present them to them, he might be able to gain recognition from the higher-ups of his own clan. Who knows, he might even be able to reach enlightened Master Mo Wei's level. Thinking of this, the middle core forging realm demon cultivator's heart was already burning with passion. Looking at the two delicate beauties in front of him, he led two of his subordinates to capture them. When Jiang Xianxian saw the three cultivators dressed in strange clothes approaching her aggressively, she didn't panic at all. A green light flashed in her eyes and she immediately laughed. "So you are demon race cultivators. Eat my sword first." The two flying swords in Jiang Xuanxuan's hands were refined from the mutated branches of the peach blossom tree demon that Lu Ping had given her. After the two swords flew out, Jiang Xianxian remembered her ninth senior brother's warning. She opened her mouth and let out a long, crisp whistle, informing the senior brothers on the island that she had met the enemy. The demonic cultivator on the other side was startled when he saw the green light flickering in Jiang Xuanxuan's eyes. However, he did not take it to heart. However, when he saw that such a delicate beauty actually dared to take the initiative to attack him, a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. The stronger a beauty was, the more those experts in the clan would like her. The demon cultivator casually flicked out a grape-sized pearl. When the two demon cultivators behind him saw this, they also understood the intention of the demon cultivator and laughed strangely. However, the strange laughter of the two stopped abruptly. In the midst of the clanging sound, the pearl that the demon cultivator flicked out was knocked away by the beautiful cultivator's two swords. When the leading demon cultivator recalled the pearl again, he saw that the surface of the pearl had long been mottled with cracks. It was obvious that it was seriously damaged and could no longer be used. The leader of the demonic cultivators looked at the pearl in his hand with a surprised expression. Even though the quality of the pearl was not very high, it was still a treasure that had just barely been condensed. It was a treasure that he usually played around with. Even though he had only casually struck it out of the blue, his cultivation base was still a level higher than his opponent's, after all. Yet, not only had he failed to gain an advantage, he had instead suffered a loss. The beauty in front of him was not a vase, but a cultivator with real strength. The demon cultivator, who put away his contemptuous attitude, naturally became more serious. At this time, the gap between the two was reflected. Although Jiang Xianxian had been taught by the two Laozu, after all, her cultivation was much lower. The senior sisters and senior brothers around her also liked her innocence, and they always didn't want her to know the dangers of the world, so that she would lose her innocence. This time when Jiang Xianxian came to Huangli Island, although Lu Ping could sense some of the intentions of the two Laozus, he dared not really push his junior sister into a dangerous situation. He just wanted her to experience the atmosphere of a fight, and then slowly let her know the cruelty of the cultivation world. However, he didn't expect that it would backfire. The demon race actually used the simplest diversion strategy, and they schemed against Lu Ping, who had always been smart. This didn't mean that even a wise man like Lu Ping would make a mistake, but it could only be said that this time, the demon race was a fool, and they made a good decision. Although it was Jiang Xuanxuan's first time fighting with someone, she didn't have the slightest bit of fear. This wasn't because she was brave, but because this child didn't know what fear was. Just think about it, on Tianling Mountain, who could make her afraid? However, this was the first time this proud and arrogant little girl fought with someone. Not only was she suppressed by the person in front of her, but this demon cultivator even had the time to attack Lu Qiner when he was fighting with her. Obviously, he didn't take her seriously. However, what made her even more angry was that Lu Qiner had just used her little magic power to help her out of trouble. What was this? No matter what, I didn't get hurt at all? Jiang Xuanxuan's pretty face turned red with anger. She suddenly grabbed a handful of talismans from the storage instrument on her waist and threw them out. Jiang Xuanxuan's action immediately shocked the leading demon cultivator. He clearly saw that although these talismans weren't talismans, they contained a trace of spirituality. Obviously, they were made by a core forging late-stage cultivator. The little girl in front of him obviously didn't have the ability to make them. The leading demon cultivator hurriedly released a defensive magic treasure to protect himself. At the same time, the magic treasure in his hand gave up attacking Jiang Xianxian and pierced the talismans floating towards him in the sky. Every time a talisman was pierced, there was a loud noise in the sky, followed by a burst of tremors around the body of the leading demon cultivator. What a strong power! Fortunately, these were not talisman treasures. The demon cultivator secretly rejoiced. However, his face quickly twitched, and he wanted to slap himself a few times. Jiang Xianxian saw that the demon cultivator had actually broken her talisman attack unscathed, and suddenly there were 4 golden things in her hand. If they weren't talisman treasures, what were they? The 4 talisman treasures were stimulated by Jiang Xuanxuan's true essence. A water dragon was formed out of thin air, followed by a curtain of rain needles, followed by a green lightning that was not weaker than a small magical ability, and then a strange, giant blade. The leading demon cultivator used almost all of his skills, dodging and blocking. It was not easy for him to escape. He secretly rejoiced in his heart. Fortunately, the opponent had no experience in life and death battles. If he went forward and attacked fiercely, he would have been seriously injured even if he didn't die from the attack of the 4 top-grade talismans. However, immediately after, the leading demon cultivator seemed to think of something and exclaimed, "Water dragon, rain needles, greenwood thunder, unfettered blade. These are the famous skills of Jinling Lu Tianling and Zhang Tianlin when they were in the core forging stage. You, who are you?" When Zhongjian and Ma Yu rushed over, they just happened to see Jiang Xianxian throw out 4 extremely powerful talisman treasures, and then they heard the leading demon cultivator's exclamation. Although the 2 of them felt regretful that Jiang Xianxian didn't take advantage of the situation to pursue an attack, they couldn't care less at this time. The 2 of them joined forces to entangle the 2 early-stage core forging stage demon cultivators. With Lu Qin's help, Jiang Xianxian also beat the leading demon cultivator, who was somewhat scared out of his wits. Chapter 374. Talisman treasures were not as useful to core forging realm cultivators as they were to blood condensation realm cultivators. However, it also depended on the person who made the talisman treasure. A talisman treasure made by an early core forging realm cultivator naturally could not be compared to a talisman treasure made by a late core forging realm cultivator. The talisman treasure in Jiang Xuanxuan's hands might not be able to cause any harm to a mid-core forging realm cultivator, but it was enough to put him in a difficult situation. If it wasn't for Jiang Xuanxuan's lack of experience in fighting, she wouldn't have been able to take advantage of the situation to pursue and attack. However, to the leading demon cultivator, what was terrifying was not Jiang Xuanxuan's boldness in throwing the talisman treasure as a talisman treasure. Instead, it was the person behind the 4 talisman treasures. The spells released by the 4 talisman treasures were the unique skills of the 2 famous Jinling realm cultivators, Fa Xiang Laozu. Although the human and demon clans had been enemies for generations, the leading demon cultivator did not look down on the other party's Fa Xiang Laozu because of this. Legend had it that Fa Xiang Laozu had also mastered a type of talisman treasure technique. It was different from talismans and talisman treasures. Although the body of a talisman treasure was fragile and could not be compared to magic tools, it was not like talismans and talisman treasures which would be destroyed after being used. As long as it was replenished with true essence or spirit stones, it could be used again. Of course, the wastage of the talisman treasure was extremely great. Therefore, it could not be used casually in a fight like a magic tool. It was unknown whether this beauty still had talisman treasures on her. Even though 4 directions of Huangli Island had already been engaged in battle, none of the people guarding the 4 directions that had yet to engage in battle left their positions. Other than guarding against the possibility of reinforcements from the demonic cultivators, a large number of blood condensation and blood refining realm demonic beasts had already gathered around Huangli Island. Under the deterrence of the core forging enlightened masters, these demonic beasts didn't dare to make the slightest movement. However, once someone came to open the way, these demonic beasts would certainly attack Huangli Island. At that time, it would be too late for Lu Ping and the others to deal with these demonic beasts. In the east, the point where the sea and the sky met had been dyed black. A formidable divine sense instantly swept forward, and Lu Ping, who was in the midst of fighting the Yao cultivators, felt a chill run down his body. Immediately after that, however, the point where the sea and the sky met in the west was dyed fiery red. A divine sense that was even more overbearing than the one before swept forward, and the haze enveloping Lu Ping was instantly swept away. Lu Ping knew that the core forging late-stage cultivators from both sides had already started fighting in secret. However, without a helper, Taoist Master Mo Wei of the demon race was no match for Taoist Master Chu Xuanqing, whose cultivation had already reached the peak of the core forging stage. Just as Lu Ping's heart calmed down, Ji Zixuan, who was in the southeast, let out a long whistle. The demon race actually had reinforcements coming, followed closely by Chen Lian, who was in the north. For a moment, only Du Feng and Shi Lingling were still fighting on Huangli Island. Although Lu Ping didn't know the situation of those who were fighting, from the several long whistles that were neither too fast nor too slow, at least for now, no one had encountered any danger. However, as time passed, it would be difficult to say. Lu Ping was a little impatient in his heart, and his attacks inevitably sped up a bit. At this time, the face of the demon cultivator who was fighting with Lu Ping became more and more unsightly. The demon cultivator knew the young human cultivator in front of him. He heard that he was a newly risen core forging stage cultivator of the human race, known as the Water Sword Immortal. When he heard people mention him, he was very disdainful in his heart. Water Sword Immortal, what a big tone. This kind of title is also something an early core forging stage cultivator can use. After receiving Taoist Master Yu Hua's SOS signal, this demon cultivator found out that the one occupying Huangli Island was actually this Water Sword Immortal. Without saying a word, he cast aside the others and rushed towards Lu Ping. However, as soon as Lu Ping made his move, he jumped in fright. Not only did the other party use the full power of a great magical power through a psychic magic treasure, his mastery of great magical power had obviously reached a considerable realm. The demon cultivator fought with Lu Ping for dozens of rounds, but did not gain the slightest bit of advantage. The demon cultivator could only settle for the next best thing, intending to use his far higher cultivation to fight a war of attrition and wear down Lu Ping. However, to his disappointment, although the cultivator in front of him was only at the 3rd level of core forging, the density of his true essence was unexpectedly not below that of a 5th level core forging stage cultivator. After long whistles sounded from the other two directions, the demon cultivator who was fighting with Lu Ping realized that his side had already attacked Huangli Island for such a long time. However, there were constant fluctuations of spiritual qi coming from the other directions. It was obvious that they had not broken through Huangli Island, and the surprise troops that were previously planted on the west side were obviously blocked by Jinling's cultivators. This was also the reason why Lu Ping was so impatient. From the information provided by Samling to Lu Ping, within 1,000 miles of the sea outside of Huangli Island, there were only 6 demon cultivators, excluding Taoist Master Mo Wei, and 3 of them had reached the mid-core forging stage. In other words, besides the demon cultivator who was fighting with Lu Ping, there were 2 other demon cultivators who were entangled with the mid-core forging stage cultivators in the other directions. However, at this time, there were 2 more core forging stage demon cultivators rushing to Huangli Island. With such a fast speed, could it be that Samling's information was wrong? Lu Ping's senior martial brothers and junior martial sisters' strength could be said to be outstanding among cultivators of the same level, but not everyone could be like Lu Ping, who had the strength to challenge those of a higher level. Fighting a mid-core forging stage cultivator without showing any signs of defeat was fine, but if the battle dragged on, then it would be hard to say what would happen. Although Lu Ping knew that his friends had some life-saving skills, once things had reached this point, even if his friends could safely escape, there would be no point in occupying Huangli Island. Now, it was up to Hu Lili to finish setting up the island guarding array formation as soon as possible. Lu Ping glanced at the island behind him and saw that junior martial sister Qiu had finished setting up the array formation tools and had already retreated to her cave dwelling in the center of the island. The cultivators in the other directions must have also finished setting up the array formation tools and met up with Hu Lili. With their help, Huangli Island's island-guarding array formation could be completed even faster. Although Lu Ping had once killed a 5th-stage core forging stage demon cultivator, after a cultivator's cultivation broke through to the mid-core forging stage, the difference between cultivators of the same level began to vary. The biggest reason was the different quality of heaven and earth spirit objects that cultivators used to break through to the mid-core forging stage. A cultivator who integrated with a low-grade profound level heaven and earth spirit object naturally could not compare to a cultivator who integrated with a high-grade profound level heaven and earth spirit object. Similarly, a cultivator who integrated with one type of heaven and earth spirit object naturally could not compare to a cultivator who integrated with 3 types of heaven and earth spirit objects. The strength of the cultivator that Lu Ping was fighting against was obviously not comparable to the 5th-stage core forging stage cultivators that he had killed or injured before. Lu Ping fought with this person for a long time, but there was no clear winner. Although this person did not achieve great magical power, the use of several small magical powers was quite marvelous. In addition, with the advantage of his cultivation, even though Lu Ping's strength had increased a lot compared to 3 years ago, and the golden scale sword had also been upgraded to the level of a spiritual magic treasure, it was obvious that he could not do anything to this person in a short period of time. The weather above Huangli Island became more and more strange. On one side, dark clouds rolled, as if the sky was about to change, and on the other side, there was a burning cloud, as if the sun was about to rise from the west. Although perfected Chu Xuanqing had the advantage of cultivation on the sea, perfected Mo Wei also had the geographical advantage. The weather on both sides confronted each other, not giving way to each other, and it seemed that no one could gain the upper hand. At this time, in the cave on the small hill of Huangli Island, Junior Sister Chiao and the others were connecting the spiritual power of the island's protective array disk with Hu Lili's spiritual power. At the same time, they advised, 4th Senior Sister, put down the tools in your hands and rest for a while. If this goes on, it will be very easy to damage the foundation of your spirit sense. Hu Lili's forehead was dripping with sweat. Hearing this, there was a wave of true essence in her hands, and the runes on the array disk lit up a few more times. At the same time, she said, "Don't worry, Senior Sister, I know what I'm doing." After all, the cultivation of the few junior sisters is a little lacking. If we want to activate the array disk of the entire island's protective array disk with just the few of you, it will definitely take a long time. If that happens, there will be more and more demon race cultivators coming to help. At that time, it will be a small matter if Huangli Island can't be defended, but if we lose a few of our companions, it will be very serious. Junior Sister Chiao still advised, but Senior Sister, if this goes on, even if the island's protective array is completed, I'm afraid that Senior Sister's vitality will be greatly damaged. Hu Lili smiled slightly and said faintly, I have to do something for him. He has done so much for me, so I should do something for him. Personally, I don't want others to look down on me and see me as a good-looking but useless face. Junior Sister Chiao opened her mouth, but in the end, she didn't say anything to persuade her. Hu Lili seemed to know what Junior Sister Chiao wanted to say. She took out a jade bottle from the storage bracelet on her hand and said, Don't worry, you forgot that he is an alchemy grandmaster after all. He has already prepared spirit pills for me to recover the true essence in my body and nourish my spirit sense. Junior Sister Chiao's expression became much better. She said, Senior Brother Lu is really thoughtful, and he is really good to you, Senior Sister. Hu Lili smiled, but her hands didn't stop stimulating the spiritual power of the island's protective array from beginning to end. At this time, 1/3 of the array's array disk was inlaid with spirit stones, and the spiritual power runes that were stimulated also accounted for 1/3 of the entire array disk. At this time, it was necessary to end the battle quickly. The sudden appearance of 2 monster cultivators caught Lu Ping unprepared. If he didn't kill or repel the people in front of him, once more monster cultivators arrived, Lu Ping's several years of planning would fall short of success. At this time, in the sea thousands of miles away, Blue Snake Lu Hai asked with some worry, Big Sister, There are actually two core forging stage cultivators hidden in Taoist Mo Wei's cave mansion. This time, Father won't be in any danger, right? White Snake Lu Ling couldn't help but say, "Big sister, let's hurry back and help Father. With the talent of us green sea snakes, with the three of us working together, even early core forging stage cultivators may not be able to do anything to us." Lu Qing turned his small head, shook his head and said, "It's too late to go back now. Moreover, one of the two extra people is a mid-core forging stage cultivator. Even if we go back, we won't be able to help Father. Instead, we'll expose Father's trump card. If our identity as green sea snakes is also exposed, I'm afraid Father won't be able to protect us." "Then what should we do?" Lu Hai and Lu Ling asked together. "According to the original plan, we'll complete Father's task. With Father's ability, even if he can't occupy Huangli Island, if he wants to leave, I'm afraid only late core forging stage cultivators can stop him. If Father stops the monster race's attack, but we can't complete Father's task, how can we face Father again? Moreover, Dague suddenly disappeared. What if he was imprisoned in Taoist Mo Wei's cave mansion? How can we explain it to Father?" Chapter 375. When Jiang Xianxian took out a strange talisman from her storage treasure, the beast cultivator's expression finally changed. A talisman weapon? She really did have a talisman weapon. Jiang Xianxian activated the talisman weapon without hesitation. A figure suddenly walked out of the shining talisman weapon. This person's sleeves fluttered in the wind, and he wore a high hat and a wide belt. He looked like a hermit who was free and unfettered in the world. His expression was joyful, as if he was singing. He slowly walked towards the leading demonic cultivator. The leading demonic cultivator finally collapsed. He had participated in the Dharma projection assembly of the Island Lord of Golden Wirm Island, so he naturally knew who this handsome middle-aged man was. The leader of the demonic cultivators felt his legs tremble, and he let out a long howl before turning around and fleeing without even bothering to greet his two companions who were fighting Zhong Jian and Ma Yu. Jiang Xianxian looked at the escaping beast cultivators and was very dissatisfied. She pointed at the middle-aged man and smiled at the escaping beast cultivators. Then he turned around and walked toward the two beast cultivators fighting Zhong Jian and Ma Yu. At this moment, the two Yao cultivators could be said to be extremely depressed. In terms of cultivation, Zhong Jian and Ma Yu were only at the first layer of the core forging realm. Obviously, they were no match for the two Yao cultivators. However, the two Yao cultivators were able to combine their swords and display an exquisite combination sword technique. Not only that, they were able to completely block the attacks from the two Yao cultivators and firmly hold them back outside of Huangli Island. When they saw the leader of the beast cultivators abandon the two of them and escape by himself, the two of them naturally cursed in their hearts. However, when they saw the middle-aged man walking toward them, they panicked. A person that could scare away a mid-stage core forging realm cultivator was naturally not someone they could provoke. A streak of light flashed beneath their feet as they attempted to escape. Zhongjian and Ma Yu naturally wouldn't allow them to do so. The two swords in their hands, one male and one female, formed a net of swords in the sky that flew towards the two fleeing cultivators. This was a minor divine ability that Zhongjian and Ma Yu could only execute by combining their swords. When the two demons broke through the net of swords, before they could even rejoice, their eyes involuntarily widened. The middle-aged man was already standing in front of them. He waved his sleeves, and an invisible ripple spread out. The two of them coughed out blood and retreated. Two blood lights streaked across the sky. Taking advantage of the time when they were knocked back, the two demon cultivators used the blood escape technique with the blood in their mouths, desperately fleeing towards the depths of the sea. At this moment, there was a crisp cry in the sky, and a huge luan swooped down from the sky, reaching out its claws to grab one of the escaping lights. A miserable cry rang out. Caught off guard, the streak of light immediately fell into the sea. A long blood-red line suddenly extended from the other streak of light, entangling the streak of light that was falling into the sea. The two streaks of light abruptly accelerated, disappearing into the horizon a moment later. Just when Lu Qin transformed into her original form and was about to stop one of the escaping monster cultivators, Jiang Xinxian shouted coldly. She was about to chase after the two of them and kill them. Zhongjian and Ma Yu hurriedly stopped her and said, "Junior sister Jiang, don't chase after them. The most important thing now is to guard Huangli Island and prevent the monster clan from invading." Jiang Xinxian angrily threw a talisman weapon in the air. The middle-aged man turned around and smiled at Jiang Xinxian and the others before walking toward the talisman weapon. At the same time, his body became smaller and smaller. When he finally landed on the talisman weapon, he condensed into a blurry figure. The light on the surface of the talisman weapon also became a lot dimmer. Dad said that the talisman weapon he made was very powerful, but in the end, he didn't even kill an early-stage core-forging beast cultivator. Jiang Xinxian said as she stuffed the talisman weapon into her storage magic treasure. Another talisman weapon appeared in her hand and she said, "If any beast cultivators dare to come, then use the talisman weapon Mom made. It will definitely be more powerful than Dad's." Zhongjian and Ma Yu rolled their eyes and said, "Since the beast cultivators have been beaten back by Junior Sister, let's go to other places to help. Junior Sister, guard this place and don't leave Huangli Island. Be careful of the beast cultivators coming back." Jiang Xinxian smiled sweetly and waved the talisman weapon in her hand. She said, "Senior brother Zhong, senior sister Ma, don't worry. I have the talisman weapon Mom gave me and little sister Qin will help. If they come again, I will definitely beat them all." When Yao Yong saw that the beast cultivator attacking him was actually a fourth-stage core forging cultivator, his heart suddenly surged with an indescribable excitement. Although Yao Yong had killed beast cultivators of the same level as him and severely injured third-stage core forging cultivators, he had never defeated a fourth-stage core forging cultivator. Therefore, among the new generation of cultivators in Jinling, Yao Yong was always ranked fourth. Lu Ping had even killed a fifth-stage core forging cultivator. Yao Yong didn't think he had such strength. Ji Zixuan and Yin Zichu's cultivation was similar to his, but the two of them had joined forces to defeat fourth-stage core forging cultivators several times. Even when Lu Ping was still in the Eastern Sea, among the new generation of cultivators in Jinling, only the two of them were able to contend against Lu Ping. Therefore, these two people had always been regarded by the cultivators in Jinling as experts of the new generation, second only to Lu Ping. However, this made Yao Yong somewhat unconvinced. Unfortunately, Yao Yong was good friends with these people, and he'd always been one that valued loyalty. Thus, he naturally wouldn't take up a fighting stance with Ji Zixuan and Yin Zichu. Thus, he held back his energy and wanted to find an intermediate-stage core-forging demon cultivator to have a great battle with in order to prove that his strength wasn't inferior to Ji Zixuan and Yin Zichu. Therefore, he volunteered to guard the southern part of Huangli Island in the Eastern Sea region, which was second only to Lu Ping. However, the result did not disappoint him. The Demon Clan's opponent was indeed a middle-stage core-forging cultivator. Yao Yong didn't wait for this person to attack when a huge fire tiger appeared under his crotch. Yao Yong roared and a long halberd suddenly appeared in his hand. He clamped his legs together and the fire tiger let out a loud roar. One man and one tiger rushed towards the incoming person. Every time the fire tiger took a step in the void, it would leave behind a scarlet flame. Amidst the torrent of sword techniques that filled the sky, the Demon Clan's spiritual master who was fighting against Lu Ping was not the slightest bit afraid. It was as if he had turned into a giant boat going against the current. Regardless of the wind and waves, he went straight towards Lu Ping to kill him. However, the spiritual master had only just resolved half of Lu Ping's torrent of sword techniques when his expression suddenly changed, and he quickly retreated. At the same time, his protective aura chi quickly lit up. However, he was still a step too late. The protective aura chi on the cultivator's left shoulder was pierced, and a straight gash appeared on his clothes. A stream of blood floated down from the sky as a sword shadow flashed in front of the cultivator and disappeared. Lu Ping had spent a great deal of effort to obtain the Nether Aqua Sword, which was hidden within the torrent of sword techniques, from the sect in exchange for a high-grade spiritual material. Only then did Chun Lian manage to condense it into a magic treasure. After becoming a magic treasure, not only did the Netheraqua sword's concealment technique become more profound, its power had also increased considerably. Additionally, when Lu Ping was cultivating the invisible sword formula, he had also fused invisible water, a wondrous object of heaven and earth, into his protective aura qi, making the invisible sword formula even more wondrous and unfathomable. Under the attacks of the Netheraqua sword, the spiritual master who was fighting against Lu Ping could easily break through his minor defensive magic. The spiritual master feared Lu Ping's Netheraqua sword. Lu Ping, on the other hand, knew that the Netheraqua sword was a sneak attack. Once his opponent was prepared, the Netheraqua sword's power would be greatly reduced. For a moment, neither side took any offensive actions, and instead, they faced off against each other on the surface of the sea. At this moment, an earth-shattering tiger roar suddenly came from the south of Huangli Island. Lu Ping's expression changed, and he inadvertently glanced towards the south. The spiritual master opposite him had already taken the opportunity to send 2 flying daggers flying towards him. The golden scale sword in Lu Ping's hand slashed out a blade wall in front of him, blocking the 2 flying knives. The enlightened beast cultivator thrust his spear at Lu Ping, but a blue lightning bolt suddenly struck down from the sky and struck the spear into the sea. The spiritual master's expression turned cold. The opponent actually had a minor lightning magical ability. Then he straightened his palm and a saber light suddenly flew to his side. With a clang, the tranquil water sword flashed and disappeared. However, the sky darkened. When the demonic cultivator looked up, a huge seal was already falling toward him. Only after fighting with a middle-stage core forging cultivator did Yao Yong realize the real difference between an early-stage core forging cultivator and a middle-stage core forging cultivator. Although Yao Yong used all his skills and had the help of a fire tiger mount, he could only temporarily stall the spiritual master of the 4th-stage core forging cultivator in front of him. As time passed, Yao Yong gradually began to fall into a disadvantageous position. If it weren't for the fact that he was Taoist Chu Xuanqing's disciple, which made his attacks the most violent and fierce, which made the spiritual master of the demon clan very afraid of him, Yao Yong would have been chased and beaten by the spiritual master. However, just when Yao Yong calmed down from his hot-bloodedness, he realized that the most important thing was not to defeat the person in front of him, but to stall this person and wait for Hu Lili to complete the island's protection array. As for the final battle with the middle-stage core forging cultivator, as long as he completely occupied Huangli Island, this place would become a thorn in the flesh of the demon clan. Just when Yao Yong was distracted, he didn't see the mocking expression in the eyes of the spiritual master of the demon clan in front of him. Once his head heated up, it was easy for people to go to extremes. Yao Yong's raging flames had already dimmed under the attacks of the icicles. However, at this moment, the entire fireball suddenly expanded. A bright yellow flame suddenly broke through the encirclement of the icicles and rushed towards the enlightened Yao Yong. Desperate and desperate? The enlightened Yao Yong naturally wouldn't fight Yao Yong at this moment. Yao Yong was obviously using a secret technique that stimulated his potential. This secret technique might be able to temporarily increase his strength, but in reality, it had many flaws. As long as the enlightened Yao Yong could dodge this attack, he wouldn't even need to do anything. The cultivator in front of him would be exhausted. However, just after the Tao Master Demon Cultivator escaped Yao Yong's angry blow, a biting cold air suddenly blew towards his back. The enlightened Yao Yong's hair stood on end. His feet flashed continuously. His body's protective aura qi protected his whole body before his magic weapon. However, a black flying sword still pierced through his body's protective aura qi. Although the enlightened Yao Yong avoided the vital point of his heart, his shoulder was still pierced. The enlightened Yao Yong fled more than 100 feet away. After confirming that no one was chasing him, he turned around and saw a cultivator with a cold expression looking at him. The blood beads on a black, flying sword magic weapon had already been shaken off. Yao Yong's heart relaxed when he saw the person coming. He immediately stopped his secret technique. Although the secret technique only lasted for a short time, Yao Yong still swallowed a mouthful of blood. He then asked, "Why did you come here?" What if someone sneaks into the island? Du Feng glanced at him and said coldly, Zhongjin and Ma, you are here. Fourth senior sister, such a huge array disk. How many spirit stones are needed to inlay it? Junior sister Chio looked at the huge array disk that was about to be completed. Her eyes were filled with shock, and she couldn't help but ask. At this moment, Hu Lily already had a splitting headache, and the Zhen Yuan in her body was almost depleted. Enduring the discomfort, Hu Lily inserted the last high-grade spirit stone into the center of the array disk. Then, she poured out 2 pills from the jade bottle and swallowed them. Only then did she force a smile and said, this array disk needs 36 high-grade spirit stones and 666 mid-grade spirit stones to operate at full power. Huangli Island is more than 10 miles wide, so the island's protective array should be able to withstand a full blow from a late core forging cultivator. 36 upper spiritual stones would be 360,000 spiritual stones. 666 middle spiritual stones would be 66,600 spiritual stones. Doesn't that mean that Huangli Island's island guarding formation would need 420,000 spiritual stones to activate? Junior sister Chio exclaimed. The junior sisters beside her also had a look of disbelief on their faces. Everyone was focused on the activation of the array disk and didn't notice that the array disk was 10 feet in diameter. Apart from the complicated formation runes, there were also densely packed indentations of spirit stones. Now that the array was about to be completed, everyone noticed that the array disk was actually covered by a huge ball of light from afar. When the junior sisters saw such a huge island's protective array was about to be completed, they were all excited. However, they didn't notice that Hu Lily was already at the end of her rope. The activation of the entire island's protective array was obviously not something that the junior sisters in the blood condensation realm could handle. At this time, she didn't know what the situation outside the island was like. Naturally, Hu Lily didn't dare to rashly call her companions to help her activate the array. She could only rely on the little bit of true essence produced by the pill she just swallowed to activate the entire island's protective array. While Lu Ping was seriously injuring the demonic cultivator in front of him and coughing up blood, Yao Yong and Du Feng had already defeated their opponents. Yin Zichu was dealing with the demonic cultivator in front of him, and Ji Zixuan was playing with the opponent in front of him. Chen Lian was being beaten up by the demonic cultivator in front of him. Jiang Xinxian and Shi Lingling were bored to death guarding their respective positions. Ma Yu and Zhong Jian had just recovered their true essence. Zhang Jie and Zhang Zicheng, under the leadership of Debao, were searching for hidden demonic beasts. At this moment, the entire Huangli Island suddenly rumbled as if there was an earthquake. It was as if the entire island was trembling. The expressions of the demonic cultivators who were attacking changed. Yao Yong and the others, on the other hand, were filled with joy. On the small hill in the center of Huangli Island, a pure white light shot into the sky. Then, the pillar of light was like a giant opened umbrella. The 8 formation tools that were previously set up on the island were like the ribs of the umbrella. A ripple-like light barrier with the small hill as the center and the other 8 directions as the fulcrum enveloped the entire Huangli Island. Yao Yong and the others quickly retreated back to the island's protective array and used the protection of the array to confront the demonic cultivator. Only Lu Ping didn't seem to notice the island's protective array opening behind him. He was still chasing after the demonic cultivator in front of him. Chapter 376. Fourth Senior Martial Sister. Fourth Senior Martial Sister. After activating the island's grand array, Hu Lily, who was almost like a dried-up oil lamp, could no longer hold on and directly fell on the array disk of the grand array. Only then did Junior Martial Sister Chio and the others wake up from their excitement. They realized that in order to complete the island's grand array as soon as possible, Hu Lily did not rest at all. She had been relying on Lu Ping's medicinal pills and extraordinary willpower to hold on until now. At the moment when the island's grand array was finally activated, Hu Lily no longer had any scruples and finally fainted. Junior Martial Sister Chio and the others hurriedly carried Hu Lily away from the formation plate. Suddenly, a loud explosion sounded in the air above Huangli Island. Several of the mid-grade spirit stones embedded in the formation plate suddenly exploded, and the rest of the spirit stones also flashed with spiritual light. Junior Marshall Sister Chio originally wanted to send Hu Lily to her cave residence to recuperate, but when she heard the explosion outside the island, she quickly turned around and replaced the several spirit stones that had exploded. Outside of Huangli Island, after Yao Yong and the others returned to Huangli Island through the island's grand array through Jinling's identity token, the demonic cultivators outside the island did not give up on attacking Huangli Island. Although Yao Yong and the others had the support of the grand array and did not have to worry about the problem of defense, the target of the demonic cultivators outside the island had also increased by countless times. Yao Yong and the others hid inside the array and were unable to completely resolve the attacks that fell on the island's grand array. However, in just a few moments, the few Taoist demonic cultivators gave up on attacking the Huangli Island's grand array. This was because the grand array of Huangli Island was obviously not an ordinary grand array. Under the attacks of the Taoist masters of Core Forging Realm, the grand array of Xianqi Island could temporarily create a hole in the grand array. As for the grand array of Huangli Island, although most of the attacks were blocked by Yao Yong and the others inside the island, there were still a lot of attacks that landed on the grand array. However, the grand array that enveloped the entire Huangli Island only trembled a few times and was not damaged at all. It was a fact that Huangli Island was occupied by the human race, but the demon cultivators couldn't do anything about this grand formation. They could only prepare to temporarily push it away, but at this moment, a miserable roar suddenly came from the eastern sea of Huangli Island. When the demon cultivators outside the island heard this, they hurriedly flew towards the east. Du Feng, Jizi Xuan, and the others then discovered that Lu Ping had not returned to Huangli Island. They immediately flew towards the east coast of Huangli Island. However, just as everyone was about to reach the eastern shore of Huangli Island, they saw Lu Ping flying towards them in a hurry. Seeing everyone, Lu Ping did not say much. He directly said, "Let's return to the cave first." When everyone returned to the cave abode, they saw the huge array disc and the densely packed spirit stones inlaid on it. Yao Yong stared blankly at the array disc and said, "Is there a need to go to such lengths? This is just a small island." Lu Ping couldn't be bothered to answer Yao Yong's question. He turned to junior sister Chio and asked, "Where's your senior sister Hu?" Fourth senior sister has overexerted herself in order to arrange the array and fainted. Lu Ping turned and walked towards a secret room on the other side. When Lu Ping saw that Huangli Island's protective array was completed so quickly, he already had a guess in his heart. No one knew Hu Lily better than Lu Ping. She was a woman with strong self-esteem and independence. When she could not accompany Lu Ping to fight against the demon clan, she would use another extreme way to show her existence and necessity. Lu Ping carefully examined Hu Lily's injuries. After a while, he walked out of the secret room. Shi Lingling hurriedly came forward and asked, "How is it?" Lu Ping's face was so cold that it was almost covered with a layer of frost. He said, "The consumption of qi and divine thought has shaken her foundation. Because she swallowed too many pills in a short period of time, a lot of pill toxins have accumulated in her body. This time, she will need to recuperate for at least a few years to recover. Even if she fully recovers, I'm afraid it will have a certain adverse impact on her future cultivation." Everyone stood in silence. Lu Ping returned to the secret room where the array disc was placed. After Hu Lily fainted, it was junior sister Chio who had been guarding the island's protective array. Fortunately, the array was fully operational at this time. Junior sister Chio only needed to replace the spirit stones on the array disc when their spiritual power was exhausted and shattered. At this moment, a strange whistle suddenly came from the sky. Lu Ping immediately spread out his divine thought, and then his face changed drastically. He hurriedly said to junior sister Chio, "Guard the array disc." As soon as Lu Ping's voice fell, Jinren Chu Xuanqing's furious roar suddenly came from the sky. "Black trash, how dare you!" Immediately afterward, a continuous roar came from the sky above Huangli Island. The entire island suddenly shook violently, as if the island's protective array had just been completed. The spirit stones inlaid on the array disc in the cave house burst one after another along with the dense roar outside the island. First, it was the middle-grade spirit stones on the periphery, then it extended to the 36 high-grade spirit stones inside. Now that Huangli Island's protective array had stabilized and could withstand a full blow from a late core forging cultivator, Lu Ping naturally wouldn't let his two friends continue to hold on. Lu Ping returned to another secret room to check on Hu Lily's internal injuries. At this time, because Hu Lily's body was filled with medicinal toxins, Lu Ping didn't dare to let her take any healing pills. Thinking about it, if he wanted Hu Lily to recover as soon as possible, he would have to use spirit water to form a pill. This would minimize the effects of the medicinal toxins on the cultivator. But now was not the time to refine pills. Lu Ping quickly arrived outside of Huangli Island. At this time, the sky outside of Huangli Island was still half black and half fiery red. Moreover, at the point where the two collided, there was a muffled roar coming from afar. Lu Ping didn't care about the danger and hid himself as much as possible. He arrived at a reef dozens of miles east of Huangli Island. After an unknown amount of time, Lu Ping's expression became more and more anxious. Suddenly, Lu Ping raised his head and looked at the distant sea. His face finally showed a trace of joy, but then his expression turned ugly. Lu Ping flew up and arrived at the sea not far away. He swept his long sleeves and 3-foot-long snakes slipped into Lu Ping's sleeves and disappeared without a trace. Once again, he returned to Huangli Island's immortal cave. At this time, junior sister Qiu and the others had already finished engraving a spirit vein formation. The entire spirit vein formation surrounded the island's formation plate. Lu Ping nodded towards junior sister Qiu. Junior sister Qiu and the others left the immortal cave. Only then did Lu Ping release Samling from his sleeves. Green Snake Hu Lily opened her mouth and spat out a palm-sized formation plate. The formation runes on the formation plate were carved in an exquisite and detailed manner. Obviously, it was the work of Hu Lily. Lu Ping placed the small formation plate on top of the spirit vein formation that junior sister Qiu and the others had engraved. Then, Lu Ping embedded 3 high-grade spirit stones and 30 middle-grade spirit stones on top of the formation plate. Only then did he inject his qi into the formation plate. Amidst the loud noise, Huangli Island shook for the 3rd time today. Another huge tremor also occurred in an immortal cave in the depths of the ocean thousands of miles away. At this time, in the sky hundreds of miles away from Huangli Island, Sage Mo Wei, who was defending against Sage Chu Xuanqing's attack with all his might, suddenly had a change of expression. He faced Sage Chu Xuanqing and scolded, "Old Turtle Chu, I didn't expect you to have such a trick up your sleeves. Good. I admit defeat this time. However, even if you can capture Huangli Island, it's still hard to say whether you can defend it or not." After Sage Mo Wei finished speaking, a series of small magical powers erupted from his hands, blocking Sage Chu Xuanqing's attack. Then, he calmly retreated to the depths of the ocean. Sage Mo Wei's strength might not be as good as Sage Chu Xuanqing's, but if he wanted to retreat, Sage Chu Xuanqing would not be able to stop him. Only Sage Chu Xuanqing didn't understand what was going on. However, it seemed that Sage Mo Wei had suffered a loss because of something he didn't understand. Therefore, he laughed at Sage Mo Wei's back and said, "Black trash, when have you ever taken advantage of me?" When Lu Ping sneaked into Sage Jin Li's immortal cave, he found a small spirit vein in the immortal cave. However, because he wasn't strong enough at that time, he couldn't break through Sage Jin Li's immortal cave and had no choice but to retreat. After the beast tide broke out, Sage Jin Li and Lu Ping went to the East Sea. The other was plotted against by Lu Ping and fell into the fallen mystic domain. Later on, he died in the hands of Lu Ping. Sage Jin Li's immortal cave was naturally occupied by Sage Mo Wei, who was the commander of the Northern Beast Tide. Previously, outside Xianxi Island, when Lu Ping heard from Samling that the small spirit vein in the Golden Scale residence still existed, he started to have ideas about this spirit vein. When Lu Ping attracted all the demon cultivators within a 1,000-mile radius of Huangli Island, Sage Mo Wei would definitely make a move. When that happened, he would be held back by Sage Chu Xuanqing. Then, Samling's chance would come. At this moment, the demon beasts in the immortal cave that Sage Mo Wei temporarily occupied were all in the blood condensation realm. How could they be a match for the 3 green sea snakes? Moreover, the 3 spirit snakes were originally from the demon race. Even if the demon beasts guarding the immortal cave did not think that it was inappropriate for them to sneak in, Samling placed the formation plate that Lily had prepared at the location of the spirit vein. Then, he brought the palm-sized traction plate back. After placing the traction plate, Lu Ping immediately activated the formation. When Sage Mo Wei, who was fighting with Sage Chu Xuanqing, realized that there was a problem in his immortal cave, the small spirit vein had already been drawn from thousands of miles away by Lu Ping to the immortal cave on Huangli Island. After the spirit vein was drawn over, the formation plate in the immortal cave shook violently. The spirit stones that were previously embedded in the formation plate suddenly lit up. The runes carved on the entire formation plate also lit up. A dense spiritual energy immediately appeared in the immortal cave. Just as it was about to spread out, it was firmly confined in the immortal cave by the formation plate on the ground. Lu Ping chuckled, but his hands did not stop. Instead, he took out another traction plate and placed it on the formation plate on the ground. Then, he inserted another 7 high-grade spirit stones and hundreds of mid-grade spirit stones into the traction plate. After that, Lu Ping activated the formation again. After the tens of thousands of spirit stones had exploded, the entire Huangli Island began to shake for the 4th time. At the same time, thousands of miles to the west of Huangli Island, on a small island that was only a few hundred miles away from Heaven Spirit Mountain, the entire island suddenly experienced a huge quake. The cultivators on the island were not unfamiliar with this kind of quake. A few years ago, when the Li clan on this island guided the 5 miniature spirit veins to the island, a similar earthquake had occurred. However, the magnitude of the earthquake this time was clearly much greater than the one a few years ago. Could it be that the Li clan found another spirit vein and wanted to guide it to their manor? The other cultivators on Flying Thunder Island looked at the Li clan's manor in the center of the island with envious looks on their faces. Listening to this kind of movement, could it be that the Li clan found a small spirit vein? However, immediately after that, cries of alarm came from the Li clan's manor one after another. A few angry voices shook the entire island. Who is it? Who dares to touch the Li clan's spirit vein? The other cultivators on Flying Thunder Island looked at each other. It seemed that not only was the Li clan not guiding the spirit vein, it was their own spirit vein that had just been stolen. How could this be? Could it be that the Li clan's cultivators were so stupid that they didn't even notice that someone had carved a guiding formation on their spirit vein? The cultivators on Flying Thunder Island came to a tacit understanding. After a while, a few rays of light flew out of Flying Thunder Island. The news of the Li clan's spirit vein being stolen spread out. The Li clan's spirit vein being mysteriously lost was destined to become a joke in the cultivation world. At this time, in the cave dwelling in the center of Huangli Island, the density of the spirit qi doubled again. Ji Zixuan, Shi Lingling, and the others who were cultivating to recover their true essence rushed over. Even the heavily injured Yao Yong and Chen Lian disregarded their injuries and ran over to see what was going on. At this time, Lu Ping had just buried the huge spirit-gathering pearl that Debao found in the medium-sized spirit vein in Zhongxian's cave, dwelling into the 2 small spirit veins. In another 2 to 3 years, the cave dwelling would have a 3rd small spirit vein. Chapter 377. It wasn't easy for him to find an excuse to send his envious friends away. Then, he asked Lu Qin to bring his junior martial sister, Jiang Xianxian, to the island to help Zhang Ziqing and the others exterminate the monsters. Only then did Lu Ping release the 3 spirits. This time, the 3 spirits transformed back into human bodies and snake tails, looking like 8 or 9 years old children. Lu Ping's face darkened. What happened? Why are you the only ones back? Where's De Gue? Samling looked at each other. Finally, Lu Bai said, De Gue was prepared to escape, but 2 unfamiliar core forging enlightened masters came to enlightened Mo Wei's cave today. I don't know what they discussed, but enlightened Mo Wei's only subordinate, enlightened master Lu Hai, who was at the 6th layer of core forging, was sent out. Before enlightened master Lu Hai left, He took a team of demon generals. De Gue was among them, and he was sent away as enlightened Master Lu Hai's mount. Lu Ping's expression didn't change, but he was secretly praising his good luck. If enlightened Master Lu Hai was here, even he wouldn't be able to stop him. At that time, it would be hard to say whether Huangli Island could be defended or not. Lu Ping thought for a while and asked again, "Do you know where they went? Where did those two unfamiliar core forging enlightened masters come from?" Lu Bai shook her head. "I don't know. Enlightened Master Mo Wei's subordinates don't know either. Originally, when Father attacked Huangli Island, those two unfamiliar enlightened masters didn't come with enlightened Master Mo Wei. It wasn't until enlightened Master Mo Wei's subordinates failed that the two enlightened masters came to help. As for enlightened Master Lu Hai, he headed east, as if returning to the demon race's rear." Lu Ping placed the golden house on top of the spirit vein and placed the three spirits into the space. The three spirits had been at the peak blood condensation realm for a few years now, and now they were close to breaking through to the core forging realm. Not to mention, Huangli Island had just been conquered. Yao Yong and the others had their own tasks in the sect and would have to leave soon. The sect wouldn't keep so many elite cultivators in one place for a long period of time. This would be a perfect opportunity for the enemy to wipe them all out in one go. Once these friends left, Huangli Island would be left defenseless. Jinling's sect launched a massive counterattack against the monster race. Water Sword Immortal consecutively injured a 4th-layer core forging realm cultivator and a 5th-layer core forging realm monster cultivator. This news once again shocked the entire North Sea. In the North Sea rookie list, Lu Ping's ranking rose to 20th place. Ouyang Weijian, who had mastered a great sword technique after entering the mid-core forging realm, was once again left behind by Lu Ping. Yao Yong, Chen Lian, and the others also rose in the rookie list because of this operation. This made Yao Yong very excited. He even said that the injuries he suffered were worth it. Of course, the most eye-catching one was Jiang Xianxian. By defeating a 4th-layer core forging realm cultivator, Jiang Xianxian, who was a 2nd-layer core forging realm cultivator, climbed to the rookie list. Of course, this wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was Jiang Xuanxuan's dazzling identity. Jinling was the daughter of two new Dharma phase cultivators, Lao Zhu, Jiang Tianlin, and Lu Tianling. She was one of the princes in the North Sea's cultivation world, who Lily only fainted for a day before she woke up. Her cultivation also gradually began to recover. However, if she wanted to completely recover, it would take at least a year or two. Moreover, she had damaged her vitality this time, so it would be somewhat difficult for her to cultivate in the future. After Lily woke up, she began to instruct her junior sisters to set up a teleportation array connecting Xianqi Island and Dikuan Island. With the teleportation array, if Huangli Island was attacked by the demon race, the high-level cultivators of Jinling would be able to quickly rush over through the teleportation array. However, before this, none of the islands under Jinling's jurisdiction had the authority to set up a teleportation array. The main reason was that the cost of setting up a teleportation array was too high. However, Lu Ping didn't care. Firstly, he didn't lack such things. Secondly, Huangli Island's location was extremely important. It would definitely attract a large number of cultivators to hunt demon beasts. Not only would it strengthen Huangli Island's defense, but it would also gather a large amount of cultivation resources. At that time, Lu Ping naturally wouldn't have to worry about the cost of setting up a teleportation array. A few days later, Yao Yong and the others took their leave. Because Chen Lian was stationed on Xianqi Island with Master Chu Xuanqing, which was not far from Huangli Island, he decided to stay for a few more days just in case. Hu Lily was also sent back to Tianling Mountain by Lu Ping to recuperate. Originally, Hu Lily wanted to stay and guard Huangli Island with Lu Ping. However, because of her serious injuries, Hu Lily knew that she wouldn't be of much help here for the time being. Once the demon race attacked, she would become a burden. Lu Ping was also afraid that if the demon race attacked, he would have no time to take care of Hu Lily. Therefore, he agreed to let her return to Tianling Mountain for the time being. In a short moment, he was the only one left on the huge Huangli Island. Fortunately, Lu Ping had set up the teleportation array. One after another, courageous cultivators came to Huangli Island. The position of Huangli Island was like a thorn in the flesh of the demon race. Although it was surrounded by danger, it was also full of opportunities. In the eyes of the human cultivators, those demon beasts were piles of cultivation resources. Wealth comes with danger. No one could understand the meaning of this sentence better than the cultivators in the cultivation world. As the number of people on Huangli Island increased, the order on the island became chaotic. Although there was Lu Ping, a famous core forging stage cultivator, guarding the island, the cultivators on the island didn't dare to be too presumptuous. However, the cultivators who came to Huangli Island all had their own strength. It could be said that there were conflicts on Huangli Island every day. Lu Ping didn't have the patience to care about this. At this moment, he regretted sending Hu Lili back to Tianling Mountain. If Hu Lili was here, he wouldn't have to worry about these things at all. Everything would have already been arranged in an orderly manner. Fortunately, when Lu Ping sent his junior martial sister Jiang Xinxin away, he left Lu Qin behind. Therefore, Lu Ping let Lu Qin patrol the entire island on his behalf. Lu Ping's original intention was to let Lu Qin use her core forging stage cultivation to intimidate these troublesome cultivators. He didn't expect that Lu Qin was someone who wanted to see the world in chaos. Whenever there was a conflict or a fight, she would go up and beat them up. These were only blood condensation stage cultivators. How could they be a match for her, a core forging stage demonic cultivator who had unlocked her inherited memories? Although Lu Qin held back, there were still at least 3 to 5 cultivators who were severely injured by her every day. Helpless, Lu Ping still had to treat them. At the same time, out of guilt, Lu Ping also gave these injured cultivators some benefits. Unexpectedly, after the cultivators treated by Lu Ping consumed Lu Ping's pills, not only did their injuries recover quickly, but their cultivation also increased by different degrees. When the news spread, everyone remembered that the famous Water Sword Immortal was not only a godly swordsman, but also a master of alchemy. With this, the number of troublemakers on Huangli Island suddenly increased. Some people even deliberately stood in front of Lu Qin and scolded her as a brat. How could Lu Qin stand it? Naturally, she taught these people a lesson. In the end, Lu Ping had no choice but to clean up the situation. However, Lu Ping immediately noticed the intentions of these cultivators. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so he stopped treating these cultivators. At the same time, he ordered Lu Qiner to not go overboard. With a core forging stage cultivator dealing with these blood condensation stage minor repairs, Lu Qin naturally had a way to deal with them. In a short period of time, the restless cultivators on the island cried for their mommy and daddy, but they didn't suffer a single injury. Originally, this was supposed to be handled by senior marshal sister Hu Lili, but she is currently recuperating on Tianling Mountain. You should first set up a market on Huangli Island to facilitate the exchange of goods between cultivators. At the same time, set up a pill dispensary so that cultivators can exchange pills for spirit herbs. Feng Tao pondered for a moment before saying, "Boss, it's easy for me to set up a market, but I don't have the ability to manage the cultivators on the island. After all, I'm only an early-stage blood condensation cultivator. I can manage a pill dispensary for boss, but it's impossible for me to manage a market." Lu Ping's question was actually to test Feng Tao. After all, they hadn't seen each other for several years, and people could change. However, when Lu Ping saw that Feng Tao wasn't happy about the fact that he had given him the authority to manage Huangli Island, Lu Ping nodded in satisfaction and said, "You don't have to worry about it, just do your best. I'll send Lu Qin to be your subordinate, and I believe that no one on this island will be stupid enough to harm you. The market doesn't need to be too big. As long as it has a foundation, it'll be fine. Wait for senior marshal sister Hu Lili's return, then we'll replan everything. You just need to prepare the pill dispensary first." After barely managing to maintain the market for more than a year, Hu Lili, who had recovered from her injuries, returned to Huangli Island. Lu Ping felt as if he had been pardoned from a great sin and handed over everything to Hu Lili. Then, he went into closed-door cultivation in his cave abode. Chapter 378. Although they were protected by Huangli Island's protective formation, after Hu Lili returned, she set up another protective formation around the two of them. As the spirit-gathering pearls buried in the two spirit veins slowly extended out a third spirit vein, the protective formation and guiding formation could no longer restrain the increasingly dense spiritual energy in the cave. Dense spiritual energy began to drift out from Lu Ping's cave, attracting many cultivators from the sect to set up their own cave abodes near the small hill where Lu Ping's cave abode was located. However, if cultivators other than Zhenling wanted to set up a cave abode on Huangli Island, they would have to get Lu Ping's permission first. After Hu Lili finished setting up the protective formation, almost all of the dispersed spiritual energy was trapped inside the cave abode. However, Lu Ping told her to release some of the spiritual energy outside. In any case, the 3 spirit veins were enough for Lu Ping and Hu Lili to cultivate without the island's protective formation being fully activated. After the small Huangli Island was nurtured by the 3 spirit veins, in just over a year's time, there were many places where spiritual energy gathered on the island. Lu Ping also asked for a group of blood-refining realm disciples from the sect to train on Huangli Island. In the past, Lu Ping had managed to find 7 places where spiritual energy gathered on Huangli Island, and Lu Ping was able to manage all of them by himself. However, after a year of nurturing by the 3 spirit veins, DeBeo had found 17 places where spiritual energy gathered on the island. As time went on, the number of places where spiritual energy gathered on the island would continue to increase. Furthermore, not all of these places were barren and could only be used to plant spiritual grains. There were a few places near Lu Ping's cave abode that could be turned into spiritual herb gardens or used to plant spiritual materials. In the Zhenling side courtyard, Wang Qi was severely injured because he forced himself to observe the water sword fairy, Reverend Lu Xuanping's swordsmanship. At the same time, 6 other blood-refining realm disciples were also injured. They were the first 7 blood-refining realm disciples to observe Reverend Lu Xuanping's swordsmanship. After Wang Qi woke up from his injuries, the leader of Group 7 handed him a bottle of pills with a hint of curiosity and envy. He told Wang Qi that these pills were all concocted by perfected Master Lu Xinping, an alchemist. Unexpectedly, Wang Qi had a look of amazement on his face. Perfected Lu Xinping was not only skilled in swordsmanship, but he was also a master of alchemy. With this bottle of pills, Wang Qi's injuries healed very quickly. At the same time, Wang Qi also discovered that after this injury, his cultivation did not decrease. Instead, it increased and his foundation became more solid. Wang Qi quickly thought of the bottle of pills that enlightened being Lu Xinping had given him. That's right, that must be it. After Wang Qi's injuries healed, he focused all his energy on practicing his swordsmanship. He quickly became engrossed in it and successfully comprehended the realm of technique in a short period of time. After the courtyard competition, Wang Qi's companions, who had been promoted to a 3rd-level disciple, were all sent out by the side courtyard to train. For some reason, Wang Qi was not assigned to train. The other 6 blood-refining realm cultivators who were watching Lu Ping practice were also not assigned to train. Although Wang Qi did not know why, he was in a state of obsession with swordsmanship. He was happy to stay in the side courtyard and reminisce about Lu Ping's swordsmanship from day to night. At the same time, he was also honing his own swordsmanship. As Wang Qi focused on swordsmanship for the past year, although his strength had increased by leaps and bounds, he found that his understanding of the swordsmanship that Lu Ping had practiced that day was becoming increasingly shallow. Wang Qi felt like he was immersed in the sea. The more he understood about the sea, the more he found it to be unfathomable. This enlightened master Lu Xinping had only started cultivating 20 years earlier than him, but his swordsmanship had already reached a realm that Wang Qi could not even look up to. After more than a year, Wang Qi's cultivation quickly broke through to the 9th level of the blood-refining realm. One day, after Wang Qi finished his swordsmanship practice, he was called over by the immortal in charge of his group. The immortal asked, "Our sect's Huangli Island in the outer seas is recruiting a group of disciples to manage the spiritual energy gathering area on the island. The sect has decided to treat this recruitment as a training. Are you willing to participate? However, I have to make it clear that Huangli Island is currently the most dangerous island in the outer seas. It is isolated in the outer seas and can be attacked by demonic beasts at any time. It can also be breached at any time. In fact, when Wang Qi heard about Huangli Island, he was already more than willing to participate. Nowadays, everyone in Jinling knew about Huangli Island, and that the enlightened master guarding the island was the famous water sword immortal, Lu Xianping. More than a year ago, enlightened master Lu Xianping gathered a group of the most outstanding disciples who had just advanced to the core forging realm and conquered Huangli Island in one fell swoop. Then, under the counterattack of several mid- and early-stage core forging realm demonic cultivators, they managed to hold on until the island's protective array was activated. Since then, Jinling's prestige in the North Sea had risen once again. Enlightened Master Lu Xianping was now the flag-bearer of the new generation of core forging cultivators in Jinling. The immortal in charge of Group 7 saw Wang Qi standing there in a daze and asked unhappily, "What's wrong? Don't you want to go?" Wang Qi hurriedly shook his head and said, "Of course I'm willing. It's just that when I heard that I can go to Huangli Island that enlightened Master Lu Xianping is guarding, I was overjoyed and lost my composure. Please forgive me. At the same time, I thank you for giving this opportunity to me." "That's for the best." The immortal smiled in satisfaction, but then he said with a sense of loss, "Cultivate well when you get to Huangli Island. If you have the opportunity to receive pointers from enlightened Master Lu Xianping, you might be able to soar to the sky. At that time, I might even need your care." Wang Qi repeatedly said that he wouldn't dare to do so. In his heart, he thought of a rumor. It was said that the immortals in charge of the mid- and late blood condensation cultivators were disciples of the same generation as enlightened Master Lu Xianping. Some of them were even as famous as enlightened Master Lu Xianping, and some were even more outstanding than him. However, in the past 20 to 30 years, the gap between them had grown wider and wider. Even the previously unknown elder immortal Zhang Zicheng had reached the peak of the blood condensation realm and was only a step away from breaking through to the core forging realm. On the other hand, those powerful cultivators in the courtyard were now just ordinary blood condensation elder immortals. Looking at the immortal master's disappointed expression, Wang Qi's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that immortal master was also looking at the 6 people gathered in front of the teleportation array to Huangli Island? Not only Wang Qi, but the other 6 people also looked at each other. The 7 blood refining realm disciples who were going to Huangli Island to train were actually the 7 disciples who went to observe Lu Ping's sword practice. This was obviously a deliberate arrangement by the true spirit side hall. When the 7 people arrived at Huangli Island and were brought to Hu Lili by Feng Tao, Hu Lili was also a little surprised. That day, when Hu Lili delivered Lu Ping's pills to enlightened Master Xinyuan, she had also seen these 7 unconscious blood-refining realm disciples. However, Hu Lili had always been a meticulous person. Without batting an eyelid, she quietly gave 14 of the 17 spirit-gathering places to the 7 people. After sending the 7 people away, she told Lu Ping about the matter. "Looks like this is Uncle Master Xuanyuan's arrangement." On the other hand, Lu Ping seemed indifferent, as if he didn't take these things to heart. "Then what does Uncle Master Xinyuan mean by this? He clearly knows that you don't intend to accept disciples, but he still sent these 7 disciples to Huangli Island. If you don't handle this well, won't you be disrespecting Uncle Master Xinyuan?" Although Uncle Master Xinyuan has no hope of advancing to the mid-core forging realm, he is still a cultivator of the same generation as you and my master. These years, you have been too domineering in the sect, so it's inevitable that some people will be jealous and whisper behind your back. If you don't handle this well, you will leave an impression of arrogance and disrespect in the eyes of the seniors. Lu Ping smiled. "You're just too suspicious. Perhaps Uncle Master Xinyuan just doesn't want these disciples to lose the opportunity to advance further. After all, they were able to withstand my sword technique. Whether it's their talent or willpower, they can be considered good. Uncle Master Xinyuan is teaching them in accordance with their aptitude." When Hu Lili heard Lu Ping's words, she also felt that she was being too sensitive. She smiled and said, "Then what do you plan to do? Are you really going to help them?" Lu Ping shook his sleeves, and the lid of the Linchuan cauldron flew up. Water mist rose from the cauldron and condensed into a sky-blue spirit water. It was the low-grade earth-ranked Zhanglan water. Then, another spirit pill the size of a longan flew out from the cauldron. Lu Ping's face lit up with joy. He put the spirit pill into a jade bottle and handed it to Hu Lili. This is the spirit water nourishing spirit pill that I created myself. After taking it, the foundation of your divine sense that was damaged from setting up the formation will be completely healed. Hu Lili took the spirit pill and listened to Lu Ping continue. As for those disciples, let them be. The sect's rule is that the disciple must be at the mid-stage of the blood condensation realm. A few years should be enough for us to get to know them better. If they can really endure the loneliness, then what's the harm in helping them? Seeing that Lu Ping already had a plan, Hu Lili no longer pestered him. She changed the topic and asked, "You've been refining pills all this time. Are you going to go out for a long time, or go into closed-door cultivation again?" Lu Ping already knew that Hu Lili would guess it, so he smiled and said, "I can't hide anything from you. In fact, before attacking Huangli Island, I already knew the opportunity to advance to the mid-stage of the core forging realm. It's just that because of many complicated things, I didn't have the time. Now that Huangli Island has you and Zheng Jia as a helper, everything is in order. I called Chen Lian over from Martial Uncle Chu Xuanqing and asked Xiao Qin to stay by your side. At the same time, I also notified Yao Yong and Ji Zixuan. If there is an attack from the monster race, they will rush over immediately. This way, there's no need to worry about the safety of Huangli Island. This way, I can also go into closed-door cultivation with peace of mind. At most, I will advance to the mid-stage of the core forging realm in 3 to 5 years. Hu Lili's face lit up. Then go into closed-door cultivation as soon as possible. I will take care of the island. You don't have to worry. Chapter 379. Lu Ping never thought that the opportunity to break through the bottleneck of the mid-stage core forging realm, which he had been unable to break through for several years, would appear on a golden core. In the past few years, Lu Ping had repeatedly tried to break through the bottleneck of the mid-stage core forging realm, but all of them ended in failure. However, before attacking Huangli Island, Lu Ping saw a deer demon golden core that cultivated a water attribute cultivation technique and had the bloodline of a flood dragon. When Lu Ping came into contact with the golden core, the blood in his body suddenly boiled. The surging true essence made Lu Ping feel that the bottleneck of the mid-stage core forging realm, which had always been like an iron wall in front of him, was like a window paper that could be broken with a poke. Lu Ping almost instantly understood the key to his cultivation breakthrough. It was still the bloodline. In the blood condensation realm, a cultivator could replenish their bloodline energy thrice in the blood condensation realm. In the core forging realm, they would need to replenish their golden core's spirituality. Naturally, Lu Ping didn't think he was an exception. However, Lu Ping had tried many times to break through to the mid-core forging realm, but to no avail. In the end, through a single golden core, he finally understood why he couldn't advance further. Could it be that he had to replenish his bloodline energy again? The body of a snake, the legs of a crocodile, and the tail of a carp. He thought of the 3 strange flood dragons that formed on the surface of the golden core in his heart space. Could it be? All of a sudden, Lu Ping seemed to have an epiphany about the direction of his cultivation. What an exciting thought! Although this conjecture still needed to be verified, Lu Ping directly asked Hu Lili to seal 2 of the 3 small spirit veins in his cultivation room. At this time, the spiritual energy in the cultivation room was so thick that it almost turned into water. Although the small spirit veins on Huangli Island were far from being comparable to the large spirit veins on Tianling Mountain, the 3 small spirit veins were mainly used for Lu Ping and Hu Lili's cultivation, compared to the large spirit veins on Tianling Mountain, which were used for hundreds of core forging realm cultivators and thousands of blood condensation realm cultivators. It was naturally much better. This was also the reason why many core forging realm cultivators were willing to guard small and medium-sized islands with small spirit veins. After the spiritual vein of Tianling Mountain had been upgraded to a large spiritual vein, in order to further increase the spiritual vein of Tianling Mountain, it was necessary to fuse the spiritual veins of medium and above. As for the small spiritual veins, it was no longer necessary to fuse with the large spiritual veins. This was also the reason why there were only small spiritual veins among the 36 medium islands and hundreds of small islands under the jurisdiction of Zhenling sect. Lu Ping took out a jade box from his storage ring. Lu Ping tightly sealed it with several talismans to prevent the spiritual energy from leaking out. Lu Ping touched the surface of the jade box with his hand, and the talismans turned to dust. Lu Ping slowly opened the jade box, and a huge golden pill appeared in front of Lu Ping. The golden pill's surface did not have the appearance of a spirit sense, which meant that this golden pill was already a dead pill. There was no spirituality or spirit sense of a cultivator inside. Only a huge amount of spiritual energy and blood essence was left. Gold condensing blood pill. This was a medicinal pellet recipe Lu Ping obtained from the East Sea North Alliance's alchemy gathering. He had also witnessed Yin Wujiu, the monster's alchemy grandmaster, personally refining this medicinal pellet. Now that Lu Ping's alchemy skills were no longer the same as before, it was not too difficult for him to turn this golden pill, which had once reached the 5th stage of core forging, into 10 gold condensing blood pills. The reason why Lu Ping had such confidence, in addition to his own alchemy skills, was that compared to before, Lu Ping now had a heaven and earth spirit fire that was much more brilliant than the azure spirit fire. He didn't know if Taoist Master Xian Yin and the others of the alchemy pavilion had already discovered that the heaven and earth spirit fire in the inheritance ground of the alchemy pavilion had disappeared. Thinking about the wonderful expressions of Taoist Master Xian Yin and the others when they discovered that the heaven and earth spirit fire in the inheritance ground had disappeared, Lu Ping couldn't help but have a proud expression on his face. After this period of nourishment, Lu Ping had completely refined this heaven and earth spirit fire. Although the Linchuan cauldron was also a top-grade alchemy cauldron, it was still somewhat inferior to the Nachuan cauldron. However, with Lu Ping's current alchemy skills, he simply could not understand this gap. After using the spirit explosion technique a few times and wasting a few high-grade spirit stones, Lu Ping finally turned this golden pill into 10 gold condensing blood pills. However, there were not many high-grade spirit stones left in Lu Ping's hands. Lu Ping had accumulated 3 million spirit stones from the middle-sized spirit mine on the Nameless Island in the Fallen Secret Land. After years of cultivation and wantonly squandering, there was not much left. Although Lu Ping had obtained some replenishment from the demon cultivators who were killed, in the end, the expenditure was still greater than the income. When Lu Ping swallowed the gold-condensing blood pills and began to refine them, Lu Ping's blood finally began to tremble again. The foundation bloodline that had already replenished 3 bloodlines was like a hungry glutton that suddenly saw a delicious meal. It once again devoured the refined deer demon bloodline. This continued the domineering situation of Lu Ping's foundation bloodline every time he fused with a bloodline in the blood condensation realm. The bloodline essence in the deer demon's golden pill was almost completely devoured by Lu Ping's bloodline in an instant. The huge spiritual power was quickly refined by the North Sea Wave listening technique into true essence. Together with the bloodline essence that had been devoured and fused, it gathered towards the golden pill in the core space. However, at this time, Lu Ping's golden pill was close to saturation. In a situation where his cultivation could not break through to the middle stage of the core forging realm, only 1/3 of the powerful bloodline essence could be fused with the golden pill. The remaining 2/3 could not be accommodated by the golden pill and rushed around in his bloodline. At this time, Lu Ping's entire body seemed to be emitting a red light. It was a blood-red light. This was because the huge amount of bloodline essence could not be absorbed into the golden pill and could only be filled in his bloodline. Lu Ping knew that he had already stepped on the threshold of the middle stage of the core forging realm. If he could not cross this threshold, not only would Lu Ping's efforts be in vain, but the huge amount of bloodline essence that had gathered at this time would also cause great damage to Lu Ping's body. The key to crossing this last threshold was the heaven and earth spirit treasure. As long as Lu Ping fused with the right heaven and earth spirit treasure, the spiritual nature of the golden pill would greatly increase. Once again, it would be able to forge with the divine sense. Finally, the golden pill would be able to accommodate an even larger amount of bloodline essence and true essence. Originally, when a cultivator broke through to the middle stage of the core forging realm, they would fuse with a heaven and earth spirit treasure in order to condense more true essence. However, at this time, Lu Ping's situation was obviously different from other cultivators. The true essence was completely contained in the bloodline essence. If he wanted to condense more true essence, he would need to condense the bloodline essence for the fourth time. However, the problem at this time was the heaven and earth spirit treasure. Originally, Lu Ping already had a bowl of low-grade earth-step azure wave water from the Kuan fish monster, Taoist Kong Liang. Moreover, this bowl of azure wave water was enough to fuse with an ordinary cultivator's heaven and earth spirit treasure. Lu Ping's cultivation had walked the pure and thick path. Whether it was the quality or the quantity of the azure wave water, it was barely enough for Lu Ping. However, all of this was under the premise that Lu Ping didn't know that he needed to replenish his bloodline essence for the fourth time. Now, Lu Ping had found an opportunity to break through the fourth bloodline essence. However, although only 1/3 of the azure wave water was fused with Lu Ping's golden core, this 1/3 caused Lu Ping's cultivation foundation to become more vigorous by another 1/3. The amount of azure wave water that he had previously prepared was not enough. If Lu Ping were to fuse with the azure wave water again, not only would he be able to break through to the middle stage of the core forging realm, but because of the huge amount of true essence in his bloodline, it was very likely that Lu Ping's cultivation would rapidly rise to the peak of the fourth layer. It was even possible that he would directly break through to the fifth layer. However, if Lu Ping did this, the 1/3 of the blood essence that he had fused with his golden core would not be able to solidify his foundation due to the insufficient amount of azure wave water. In the end, it would be wasted in vain. But at this time, where could Lu Ping find more azure wave water? If he didn't do this, would Lu Ping choose to temporarily disperse the huge amount of true essence that he had accumulated from refining the golden blood condensing pill? In this case, not only would Lu Ping lose an opportunity to break through to the middle stage of the core forging realm, but it would also damage the foundation of Lu Ping's cultivation. In a hurry, Lu Ping took out a bowl of world spirit water from his storage ring. It was the Ming water that he had obtained from Taoist master Chu Xuanqing. Fusing two kinds of world spirit water at the same time? This could also resolve the huge amount of blood essence that Lu Ping had condensed at this time. In the cultivation world, there were cultivators who had tried this, but the result was that none of them could break through to the late stage of the core forging realm. The huge amount of blood essence and true essence rushed into Lu Ping's blood vessels. At this time, Lu Ping's whole body felt swollen. If he didn't make a decision, the blood essence alone would be able to burst through Lu Ping's blood vessels and burst Lu Ping's core space. That's right, there was still the Xinyuan heavy water. Did he have to use the Xinyuan heavy water? This was a low-grade heaven spirit water. This was a spiritual item that a late-stage core forging realm cultivator would use to break through to the Dharma manifestation realm. Lu Ping couldn't forget that the heavenly wind leaf that Taoist master Liang Xianfeng had schemed for in the EC was only a low-grade heaven spirit water. Lu Ping also couldn't forget the joy that Taoist master Liang Xianfeng felt when he obtained the heavenly wind leaf, which could make a late-stage core forging realm cultivator lose his mind. For a late-stage core forging realm cultivator, a heaven spirit water almost meant a Dharma manifestation realm. This was Lu Ping's first time refining a heaven spirit water. How could he use this kind of treasure? Lu Ping shook his head and looked at the nameless spiritual water, hidden in the myriad poison liquid in the big blue stone vat. Lu Ping knew that the nameless spiritual water was also a kind of heaven spirit water, and its grade was definitely not low. However, he didn't know what this heaven spirit water was. Previously, because Lu Ping's cultivation was not high enough, he was afraid that he would get into trouble because of his wealth. He had been secretly investigating the origin of this spiritual water, but he had not found anything. Later, after Lu Ping advanced to the core forging realm, and especially after returning to the North Sea, he had been busy with various things and closed-door cultivation, so he had forgotten about this matter. Of course, more importantly, this kind of heaven spirit water was only a small part that Lu Ping had obtained from the 7-star Sky Golden Valley. Even if he used it to fuse, the amount would be far from enough. Not to mention that Lu Ping didn't know the details of this spiritual water. Lu Ping's thoughts turned quickly, But after thinking for a long time, he finally looked at the Xinyuan heavy water. Could it be that he still had to choose to refine a low-grade heaven spirit water? This was really a helpless choice for Lu Ping at this time, and it was a very risky choice. Although this choice might make countless late-stage core forging realm cultivators want to tear Lu Ping to pieces. It seems that this person had already made arrangements before he went into closed-door cultivation. Furthermore, he still has several good friends who are also in charge of the islands in the outer seas. They will definitely help each other. Once something happens to one side, the others will definitely rush over to help. If that's the case, then it's indeed a little difficult. Do you have any ideas, Martial Uncle? Once the Demon Clan besieges Huangli Island, then Hu Lily will definitely have to guard the Great Island Array Disk, while Chun Lian and the Demon Pet will defend against the demon cultivators that attack the island. So, we must first think of a way to move that Demon Pet away, so that the island's defensive power will be reduced a lot. This isn't too difficult. I heard that the daughter of the heavenly spirit Laozu, Xian, often finds that demonic pet to play with, so we'll start from here and bring this demonic pet back to the heavenly spirit mountain. This is a good idea. You must think of a way to bring that demonic pet back to the heavenly spirit mountain. This time, we absolutely cannot do without the Demon Clan. Only with the help of the Demon Clan will we be able to break Huangli Island, and then we will have the opportunity to take back Huangli Island. Ah, but Martial Uncle, isn't this too risky? How can the Demon Clan listen to us? If they occupy Huangli Island, how can they let us counterattack? Not to mention, once the Demon Clan attacks Huangli Island, his friends will definitely get the news and rush over to help. In this way all of this is within my calculations. We are all disciples of Zhenling. How can we collude with the Demon Clan? We are only setting up Huangli Island as a trap, a bait that can heavily injure the Demon Clan. To complete such a big move, how can we not pay a price? As long as we can annihilate 70 to 80% of the core forging stage demon cultivators outside of Huangli Island, then the people on Huangli Island will die a worthy death. At that time, even if someone in the sect notices something, we will have a reason to shirk responsibility. Without evidence, even if Lu Tianling goes crazy, what do we have to fear? After all, Zhenling doesn't belong to Lu Tianling alone. Then, Martial Uncle, the specifics should be, you only need to release the blood condensation realm demonic beasts that the family has been raising all these years into the open sea and spread the news of the specific deployment on Huangli Island. At the same time, make use of some of the family's connections outside. I believe that the other sects in the North Sea have long been envious of our sect's smooth sailing all these years. Huangli Island is now the bridgehead of the war between humans and demons. Allowing the demons to besiege Huangli Island will cause our sect to suffer some losses and lose some face. I'm afraid those people will be happy to see that. In this way, these people will definitely add fuel to the fire, but they definitely won't think that Martial Uncle already has a backup plan. Once the Demon Clan occupies Huangli Island, Martial Uncle will immediately give the Demon Clan a thunderous blow. At that time, Huangli Island will fall into our hands. Not only will our sect's prestige be damaged, but it will also increase. Martial Uncle's reputation in the sect will also greatly increase. Not to mention, it will help us eliminate a potential enemy in the future. Brother Lu Hai, have you sent the item back? Brother Amo, the item has been sent back. Speaking of which, it's quite dissatisfying. That item should have belonged to Brother Amo. But why are the Laozu so biased and want to give it to someone else? With Brother Mo's talent, if you use that item, Chu Xuanqing, that cat that knows how to light a fire, won't have the chance to be so arrogant. Brother Lu Hai, be careful with your words. How can you accuse the Laozu? I'm ashamed to say this, but although I covet that item, it's still extremely difficult for me to fuse with it given my cultivation. That person may not have contributed much, but his talent is indeed above ours. Now that we've lost Huangli Island, I'm afraid I'll become the laughing stock of the North Sea monster spirits. How would I dare have any designs on that item? Brother Imo, don't be so disheartened. I believe that Brother Imo has heard of the rumors among the low-level cultivators in our clan. What do you think about it? This rumor is strange. I'm afraid someone is plotting something. We don't have to pay attention to it. Otherwise, Brother Imo, when I returned from the rear, I passed by the southern sea where our clan fought against the North Sea sects like Xinling. There, the low-level cultivators of our clan also heard the same rumor, and it's even worse than what we have here. Oh, there's such a thing? Then how did the situation of Huangli Island spread in such detail among our clan? What else could it be? I've been investigating these days and found a cultivator of our clan who spread the rumor, but I found out that this person is a demon pet of the human clan. His sea of consciousness has been sealed by the human clan's divine sense. These human cultivators are really despicable. They're used to using such despicable methods to control our clansmen. Those clansmen who are willing to be controlled are really spineless. They're willing to be slaves for the sake of survival. You can't blame them for this. After all, they will do anything to survive. When have we demon race not had human pets under our command? Didn't we also have human pets who have cultivated to the core forging stage? In that case, human cultivators are deliberately leaking the situation of Huangli Island's defense. Can we find out which clan and which sect it is? We can't find out. These cultivators who have been raised by the human clan have obviously been sealed in their sea of consciousness. Once we search their souls, these people will die immediately. What do you think, Brother Lu Hai? What else can it be? Our clan has always respected the strong. Fighting among ourselves is a common occurrence. The human clan is not peaceful. Internal strife is their specialty. After the Beast Tide, our clan has never been able to gain the upper hand in the battle with Xunling. Because of this, Xunling has gathered a large number of rogue cultivator forces and cultivation resources. Because of this, the strength of our sect has been growing day by day. The other sects of the North Sea will not let Xunling monopolize all the good things. The human clan is used to being despicable, not worrying about scarcity, but worrying about inequality. Xunling gets the meat, but the other sects don't even get a sip of the soup. Naturally, no one has anything to eat. Brother Lu Hai, are you saying that this rumor is true? Whether it is true or not, we can just test it out. Brother Imo, don't forget, if the demon pets of the human clan can mix into our clan, why can't the human pets of our clan mix into the human clan? Wonderful, wonderful. If the rumor is true, we can take down Huangli Island in one fell swoop. Then, we can fight against Xunling for the past few years. However, for the sake of caution, Brother Imo, we still need to secretly gather our strength. We also need to cooperate with the human pets that have mixed into Huangli Island. We need to attack Huangli Island from the inside and outside as quickly as possible. It would be best if we can control Huangli Island's protective formation. In this way, Huangli Island will be a trap that we can calmly deal with. Of course. Senior Sister Hu, why haven't I seen Little Cheener recently? Without Little Cheener chattering, this island is quite deserted. A few days ago, Junior Sister Xian called her back to Tianling Mountain to play. After all, Little Cheener is a demon pet, and Junior Martial Brother Lu is unwilling to set up a restriction on his demon pet. At this time, Junior Martial Brother Lu is cultivating in seclusion, and Tianling Mountain is the foundation of our sect. What if Little Cheener is killed by other martial uncles and martial uncles on Tianling Mountain? After all, Little Cheener is Lu Ping's demon pet. Many cultivators in Tianling Mountain know this. Moreover, Junior Sister Xian is here. Who would dare to harm Little Cheener? That's true. However, recently, there have been more and more cultivators coming and going on Huangli Island. There are many people mixed together, and some of them act strangely. We need to be more vigilant. Junior Brother Lu is in closed-door cultivation, and Little Cheener has returned to Tianling Mountain. There are only 2 core forging cultivators on this island. Our defense is somewhat weak. What can we do? Most of our other friends are on their own now. I'm afraid they can't leave. Fortunately, Martial Uncle Chu has been guarding Xianqi Island. However, there is also Dao Master Imo Wei. Why don't we ask for help from Dekuan Island? Dekuan Island is one of the 36 medium-sized islands of our sect. The island's defense is strong. We can send 1 or 2 core forging cultivators to help us. Let's give it a try. I heard that Taoist Master Xianhui, who was previously stationed on Dikuan Island, was transferred back to Tianling Mountain due to his cultivation level. The new Taoist Master Xianchang is also a late core forging realm expert. However, we have never had any dealings with this Taoist master. But considering the importance of Huangli Island, this martial uncle won't ignore us. Chapter 381. It had been almost 3 years since Wang Qi arrived at Huangli Island. During these 3 years, Wang Qi's cultivation was still stuck at the 9th layer of blood refining realm. However, he was not impatient at all. Instead, he focused all his energy on strengthening his foundation and honing his swordsmanship. At the same time, due to his meticulous care, of the 2 spirit-gathering lands given to him by enlightened Hu Lily, one was turned into a spiritual field while the other was turned into a spiritual herb garden. Both of them had a good harvest. One had to know that these spiritual fields were different from ordinary spiritual energy gathering grounds. The spiritual energy gathering ground that Huangli Island had opened up was twice the size of other spiritual energy gathering grounds due to the density of the spiritual energy. Later on, the number of spirit gathering lands on Huangli Island increased again. Wang Qi received another spiritual field from enlightened Hu Lily. This time, he planted a mid-grade spiritual material, Masyang wood. The 7 blood refining realm disciples who first observed enlightened Jinling Lu Shuamping's swordsmanship had already reached the 9th layer of blood refining realm before they arrived at Huangli Island. They were only 1 step away from breaking through to the blood condensation realm and becoming an inner disciple of Jinling realm. These 7 disciples came to Huangli Island with good intentions. However, when they arrived, not only did they not see the famous water sword fairy enlightened Lu Xianping, they did not even see enlightened Hu Lily. The only person they saw was enlightened Lu Qiner, who was said to be enlightened Lu's little sister and enlightened Lu Qiner's demonic pet. However, they only caught a glimpse of her from afar and only saw her back a few times. The 7 of them were no different from other blood refining realm disciples who came to Huangli Island for training. They were responsible for managing the spiritual fields and handing over their harvests. Everything was handled by the blood condensation realm cultivator Feng Tao, who was stationed at Huangli Island. A year later, the 7 of them were still diligently tending to the spiritual fields on Huangli Island, practicing their swordsmanship and cultivating in peace. Another year had passed, and many of the side hall disciples who were weaker than them had already advanced to the 9th layer of blood refining realm, while some of the disciples who were on the same level as them had already advanced to the blood condensation realm. Frankly speaking, the 7 of them had the opportunity to observe Lu Shuamping's swordsmanship and quickly advance to the peak of the blood refining realm. This had indeed allowed the 7 of them to walk ahead of their peers. Even though they had missed the blood condensing pill and missed the top 32 places in the side halls competition because of this, the 7 of them had always believed that they would continue to lead because of this fortuitous encounter. Because at least in the eyes of outsiders, what they had obtained was enlightened Lu Shuamping's fortuitous encounter. It was not impossible for them to become enlightened Lu Shuamping's disciples in the future. Although the 7 of them did not say this out loud, it had more or less pierced into their hearts. Unknowingly, the 7 of them had begun to feel like they were the descendants of the water sword fairy. And the side hall's enlightened Xinyuan also seemed to add fuel to the fire. He directly sent the 7 of them to Huangli Island where enlightened Lu Xianping was stationed. In the eyes of outsiders, this seemed to further confirm the rumor that the 7 of them had received enlightened Lu Shuamping's favor. However, after spending 2 years on Huangli Island, the 7 of them had been going through the same training process as ordinary blood refining realm disciples. They did not receive any guidance from enlightened Master Lu Xianping as they had imagined. But in these 2 years, the disciples who were familiar with them, because of their hard work and cultivation, because of their own fortuitous encounters, because of the guidance of their seniors, or because of the care of their clans, all of their cultivations had caught up to or even surpassed the 7 of them. As a result, one of the 7 of them could no longer hold back. Following the departure of the first person, the second person, the third person, and so on. By the third year that Wang Qi had arrived on Huangli Island, only Wang Qi and one other person remained. The fact that this person was able to persist until now surprised Wang Qi. This disciple's name was Han Su, a cultivator who looked like a yes-man. Back then, when he observed enlightened Lu Shuangping's sword practice, he was the only one who was suppressed by enlightened Lu Shuangping's aura and did not dare to approach Wang Qi and the others. He was also the weakest among the 7 of them. Even though the 7 of them were on good terms with each other and formed their own circle, Han Su was still looked down upon by the others. However, Wang Qi had heard that after a year of hard work, 2 of the 5 disciples had successfully advanced into the blood condensation realm, and the remaining 2 were preparing to break through to the blood condensation realm. Wang Qi had heard that after a year of hard work, their strength far surpassed that of cultivators in the same realm as them, and they had all obtained fortuitous encounters. However, in the 3rd year, Wang Qi also tried to go out of Huangli Island to hunt some demonic beasts in exchange for some cultivation resources. Due to Huangli Island's unique location deep in the monster territory, it attracted a large number of cultivators to hunt demonic beasts. However, this was only heaven for blood condensation cultivators, but hell for blood refining cultivators. Huangli Island was surrounded by groups of demonic beasts. There were all kinds of blood condensation and blood refining realm demonic beasts, but they were all mixed together. If a blood refining realm disciple ventured out, he or she would be devoured by a blood condensation realm demonic beast before he or she even encountered one. The reason why Wang Qi dared to go out of Huangli Island to hunt demonic beasts was not only because of his confidence in himself after years of sword practice, but also because he had received a piece of information from Master Immortal Feng Tao, who was in charge of the spiritual energy gathering area on Huangli Island. Before enlightened Master Lu Xianping went into seclusion, he had refined tins of cauldrons of blood-condensing pills for the sect. Because of enlightened Master Lu's excellent pill concoction skills, other than handing over a certain amount to the sect, enlightened Master Lu also handed over some excess blood-condensing pills to enlightened Master Hu Lily. Due to Wang Qi's dedication in taking care of the spiritual fields, Master Immortal Feng Tao wanted to help him. Thus, he told Wang Qi this news. If Wang Qi could gather enough cultivation resources, he could exchange them for a blood-condensing pill from enlightened Master Hu Lily. That was a blood-condensing pill. Wang Qi's heart was suddenly filled with excitement. Wang Qi's cultivation had already reached the peak of the blood-refining realm a long time ago. In the past few years, other than focusing on his sword practice, he had spent all of his time and energy on the 3 spirit gathering lands that he had managed. Even though he had some savings, it was still far from enough to exchange for a blood-condensing pill. Thus, Wang Qi turned his attention to the sea outside of Huangli Island. Wang Qi's luck was pretty good. As a blood-refining realm cultivator, he naturally did not dare to leave Huangli Island. He could only hunt demonic beasts in the surrounding waters. Even though there were blood condensation realm demonic beasts in the waters outside of Huangli Island, he did not encounter many blood condensation demonic beasts in the few times he went out to sea. The few times he did encounter 1 or 2 early blood condensation demonic beasts, Wang Qi was extremely vigilant. Once he spotted a blood condensation demonic beast, he would immediately retreat to Huangli Island. There were 2 times when he was chased by a blood condensation demonic beast. Wang Qi had no choice but to defend himself. Just as he was about to lose, he was discovered by the patrolling cultivators of the sect and was saved by them. It was rare for a blood-refining realm disciple to go out into the sea to hunt demonic beasts. As such, Wang Qi's reputation on Huangli Island grew as he went out into the sea several times. One day, Wang Qi once again found traces of 2 peak blood condensation demonic beasts in the waters near Huangli Island. Using a low-grade flying artifact, he chased after them and killed them. After dismembering the demonic beasts, Wang Qi happily rummaged through the storage pouch hanging on his waist. The items stored inside were probably enough to exchange for 2 blood condensation pills. Wang Qi was a conscientious person. He would not place his hopes of advancing to the blood condensation realm solely on a single blood condensation pill. The number of cultivators who failed to advance to the blood condensation realm after consuming the blood condensation pill was far more than the number who succeeded. The blood condensation pill was not a panacea. Wang Qi naturally wanted to be as well prepared as possible. Just as Wang Qi was about to hunt down a few more blood condensation demonic beasts, he saw streaks of light flickering above Huangli Island. Streaks of light flew into the island's protective array. Wang Qi's heart sank. Suddenly, he heard a shout from the distant sea. "Junior Marshal Brother Wang Qi, is that you?" Wang Qi turned around and saw two streaks of light flying back to Huangli Island. The two blood condensation cultivators in the streaks of light were Master Immortals Feng Wei and Feng Xia, who had once saved his life. These two Master Immortals were the children of Master Immortal Feng Tao, who had always taken care of him. When Wang Qi went out to hunt for demonic beasts this morning, he saw the two Master Immortals going out to the open sea to hunt. Now, they were rushing back in panic. Something's wrong. Wang Qi was about to rush back when he heard Master Immortal Feng Wei's anxious voice. "Junior Marshal Brother Wang, hurry back to Huangli Island. The demonic beasts are going to attack Huangli Island again. The beast wave is coming." Just as Feng Wei finished speaking, the streaks of light had already arrived in front of Wang Qi. Suddenly, a black shadow leaped out from the sea behind Feng Wei and pounced towards him. Feng Wei didn't even have time to react. However, Wang Qi could clearly see that the black shadow was a blood condensation realm flying fish. If this attack landed, even if Feng Wei didn't die, he would be severely injured. Wang Qi obviously didn't have time to warn Feng Wei. He steeled his heart and stopped thinking about how a blood condensation realm cultivator like him could fight against a blood condensation realm demonic beast. He took out the mid-grade flying sword that he had painstakingly gotten from Master Immortal Feng Tao. Using all the arcane energy in his body, he slashed at the black shadow behind Feng Wei. A muffled sound that sounded like ripping silk could be heard. Under Feng Wei's stunned gaze, Wang Qi was sent flying towards the sea. Behind Feng Wei, a mournful roar could be heard. Feng Wei turned around and slashed with his sword. The flying fish demon was instantly killed. Only then did Feng Wei realize that the flying fish demon had already been severely injured by Wang Qi's sword before he killed it. Feng Wei looked at Wang Qi, who had been pulled out of the sea by Feng Xia, in shock. Wang Qi's face was pale. Obviously, that attack had exhausted all his arcane energy. Now, even flying was difficult for him. Feng Wei laughed and said, "Junior Marshal Brother Wang Qi, I didn't know that your strength had already reached such a level. If you advance to the blood condensation realm, how many cultivators of the same level can be your match?" Wang Qi smiled with some difficulty. At this time, the three of them had already arrived in front of Huangli Island. Huangli Island's protective array was already in full operation. The nameplates on the three of them flashed, and they directly entered Huangli Island. However, at this time, Huangli Island was also filled with battle cries. The three of them panicked. Did the demonic beasts already attack Huangli Island? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.